Hello! Hello! Oh, I love this music. I could listen to this music like... Oh, man. It's such a good song, man. Seriously, I need to play Age of Calamity again. That story is actually really good. But, you know, that's not why we're here, though. Y'all know what time it is. It's 1:52 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you know what that means. Fish. Yes, I'm glad that you can stop in, Cherry, as well. For everyone else who is here watching, hello, hello. Yeah, I realize, by the way, that this is a really early stream for me. I was gonna stream last night, but I was just like, I actually didn't really want to do anything. I was just like so tired after work that like I just wanted to veg out, and that's basically what I did. But not today though, not today. Today I'm making up for it. We're doing Mochi Storytime today, and we might also be doing some Baldur's Gate later because I mean I was supposed to do something yesterday. I don't know. I don't know, man. Who cares? We're doing this anyway. Yes, I hope everyone is doing well, though. Do I have everything ready here? I think I might. Okay, let's just switch over to this one? No. It is this one. Gotcha. All right. All right, now we also have to have the fireplace open. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this real quick. Give me a sec. Okay. Alright, how do I... Okay, I need to interact with this. I have to log in my YouTube account in OBS. I hate this. YouTube, why would you do this? Why would you do this? Okay. Boo. Oh my god, why are there ads here? Ugh, YouTube. Stink, man. Okay, I think we're good now. Oh, also hi, Aiden! Oh, we're in the middle of recording? You went to a sleep up. Oops! Sorry, Aiden! I didn't realize you were recording! I thought you said you were going to be free on Saturday! You should have just ignored me! Nah, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I hope your streaming is going well, or your recording. Which, actually, here, for your troubles of showing up.
I know, baller status there, just so, y'all can help me think of a title.
Oh yeah, also, yeah, he's playing Minecraft. He's recording Minecraft today! I presume, because that's what your Discord rich presence says.
It's gonna be all of us doing this together.
Yeah, I had to, so...
I'm just gonna sit here and bullshit around for a couple minutes.
So, yeah, so the reason why I'm streaming this early today is because Pika sent a message to the Honor Among Thieves chat, which is our Baldur's Gate 3 chat, that he suggested that we start doing Baldur's Gate at like about 4 or something. So something like very early, because you know, he's been going to bed like really early in the evenings and all that. We usually start Baldur's Gate like at 10, and he doesn't know how late he's going to be able to stay up based on his new sleep schedule, more or less. So I thought, okay, I actually don't have any objections to this, but I also said in the back of my head that, like, if we are going to do this, I'm going to have to do Mochi Storytime early and do possibly 2 streams today, or just have this all be one big stream. So so this is why I'm here. Yeah. So I'm not blaming Pika for this, but you can blame Pika for this. It's all his fault. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so we are doing this. We're doing this right now. He forced my hand a little bit, but also you know, I also want to accommodate his new sleep schedule, so I'm doing what I can. But in all seriousness though, I've also been pretty excited to do this too, so I really do not mind doing this early, because it's just I've been wanting to do I really have been wanting to do more of this. It's just that I want to make sure that the stars align and all that, and that you could listen, because you're the person I want to read this to the most, Aiden, because, you know, I know how much of a Poke nerd you are. I don't know. I love it. I love it. Anyway. Without further... Okay, but anyway, so if we are gonna be starting Baldur's Gate at 4, we might want to get some headway into this. I actually don't entirely know if we are going to do it at 4. Because I know Calamity mentioned that he might have a little bit of a schedule barrier. So we shall see about that one. He wouldn't want to miss it. It's actually super good for real. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. I am so glad to hear you say that. I should probably also state as well, though, that when I said I was vegging out last night, that actually wasn't entirely what I was doing. I was also doing more prep work for reading the sequel to this. And I'm actually close to being done with what the original author had written, which means I'm getting close to the part that I wrote. So that's gonna be really fun. Slash also time consuming probably, because I wrote a lot more per chapter than he did. So this is that's gonna be fun to sift through. But that's future Mochi's problem, not current Mochi's problem. So, you know what? I say we get started. So, last time... what did happen last time? Actually, let's see what did happen last time. Oh yeah, well, okay, well. Oh, that's right. We met Rain and Cindy last time. That's what happened. And Harley was being a butthead as well, as he does. And this time, I guess we're gonna be seeing more of that. Let's go. Yeah, leaving things for future Mochi to take care of is actually like my favorite pastime. Like, you wouldn't believe my favorite pastime. You'd think it would be like, I don't know, playing Squiffer, or Zelda, or or being a masochist in Kingdom Hearts. I don't know. But no. The original pastime of Mochi's is just procrastinating. And then bearing the full force of responsibility when the payment is due. But hey, it is not due yet. I still have time to pay my bill. So let's continue where we left off then, shall we? DBZ announced his voice last time on Base Crush. Harley is a total tool. He lied to Missy, and she has challenged me and Ash to a battle for the honor of Ash and love him, mostly because Harley is a total tool. You know, that's a much better description than what I did. This is why I have you here, Aiden, so you can summarize what happened. Although, I wonder if it would be... Oh, you know what I just thought of? That would be really funny. What if I did if I put all of like what I read today in a chat GBT and ask it to summarize what happened in the form of the DBZ announcer? Oh, that sounds so funny, actually. I want to try that. That sounds hilarious. Oh my god. That's hysterical. Oh, okay, I need to do that. I need to call you on Discord before you start these streams so you can do a BBZ announcer recap from the last stream. Oh, true! Actually, if you could record... Actually, I would even put that on stream if you would actually record that. My treat. It'd be my treat. Alright. Okay, so I have... Alright, so 20 minutes have passed. I have actually droned on long enough. Let's actually get this started. Yeah, exactly. It does do funny crud. It does. That's exactly why... That's precisely why it would be hilarious. I just kind of want to see what it would say. Also, that's an emergency vehicle. I don't know if anyone can hear that. Okay. Alright, so there we go. Base Crush by PikamasterADV. Oh yeah. I have not done this at all yet. In any previous stream. But I'm But I'm pinning a link to the original story, so if anyone wants to read ahead later, or look at the original source material, or what have you, or actually check to make sure that I am giving proper credit where it's due, yes, please refer to please refer to that link. But also, I am not responsible for any spoilers that may or may not happen as a result of you reading ahead. So, yeah, but use your brain. Use the gray matter between your ears. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Ace Crush by PikamasterADV. Chapter 16. Cooking. Oh, wait. I just realized I had the wrong song. May, you are the image of loveliness, Drew declared to May while kneeling before him. Oh, Drew, May said, blushing. She held out her hand, and he took it in his. Hey! Ash shouted. He ran toward them, but was stopped by an invisible wall. Drew kissed May's hand gently, continued to plant kisses up her arm, onto her neck, and finally onto her lips. When the lips met, May embraced Drew, pulling him in tightly. No! Stop! Ash shouted, pounding on the unseen obstruction. Suddenly, he felt his breath taken away from him. He was at the bottom of the pool in Cerulean Gym, and turned to see a large blue Pokémon ready to swallow him up. Ash awoke from his last nightmare and glanced over at the VCR again. The sky was still dark, and the VCR told him it was 6:25. Begrudgingly, he got up, fed up with the constant stream of nightmares he was being dealt. This is as good a time as any to get something for breakfast, he decided. He carefully set out all the covers without waking Pikachu and wandered into the kitchen to fix him something small to eat. Opening the refrigerator, he saw they had about 1.5 cartons of eggs. He decided rather simply to make a big batch of scrambled eggs for everyone in the house. He found a large pot and sat it on the burner, pulled open several drawers before giving up on finding a whisk, and decided to just use a large spoon instead. Turning back to the refrigerator, he pulled out half a stick of butter and 9 eggs. He figured that the humans would eat 2 eggs worth, and Pikachu would probably only eat 1. He then thought of how he was supposed to feed his other Pokemon. Since going to the center would thrust him into the public, would he even be able to feed them? How bad was it out there, truly? He figured that he had to wait at most a day before Brock would show up with their supplies, so he could ask May to spare some Pokéblock in the meantime. Ash began to crack open the eggs when he heard steps coming down the stairs. A glance at the window showed the sun had begun to rise, as it was already shining directly into the window. He looked out the open doorway to see a groggy May stepping into the kitchen to see what was making the noise. Morning, May, he greeted her, cracking open the last egg. Morning, Ash, she yawned. You get some sleep? Not really, he admitted. I had too many nightmares. Oh, what? She asked, curious. Ash shook his head. Doesn't matter, he said. Just bad dreams. He grabbed the large spoon he had set aside earlier and began to break the yolks. May walked over and peered into the pot. Are you making breakfast? She asked. Yeah. I figured that Cindy and Raid would like to wake up to breakfast. Want any help? Wait, May sounds like... Are you kidding me? I made her sound like Patrick! Ah! Okay, time for me to sound... Okay, time for me to... This is how I feel right now. This is how I feel. That's how I feel right now. Ah, I love it. I love it. Oh.
Whoever's the owner of the white sedan, you left your lights on.
All right. I figured that Cindy and Ray would like to wake up to breakfast. You want to help? Sure, I guess, she said with a shrug. What you need? Ash thought for a moment. I don't really want to put any salt or pepper in them, he said aloud. It's because they might not like that. Do you know a good egg cooking temperature? They turned to the stove top and clicked the knob. There, all set. She had the butter sitting on the countertop. Ash, the butter goes in first and melts, and then the eggs go in. Ash looked at her for a moment, then looked at the forgotten ingredient. Oops, he muttered. May sighed, searching the cabinets for a large bowl. She found one, rinsed it out, and took the pot away from him. Honestly, she sighed, you're lucky I woke up. You've got most of the eggs stuck to the bottom of the pan. She poured the pot into the bowl, using the spoon to get every last bit out she could. She then placed the emptied pot on the burner she had turned on and tossed the half stick inside. Ash almost jumped. Are you sure you should be using that much butter? He asked. Why not? She said, looking at him blankly. My mom uses that much butter all the time at home. Yeah, but butter's more expensive than margarine. You can't just waste that. Margarine? What's that? Some kind of cheapo butter? Ash's mouth dropped. Then he got angry. Hey, margarine's just fine. Not everyone gets a gym leader's salary, you know. Could you keep it down? Sleepy-eyed Cindy asked, wandering in. You do sound like my mom and dad when they try to cook together. Ash and May looked at each other and blushed at the realization. She turned her attention back to the cooking to get her mind off of it. The butter had melted sufficiently, so she poured in the eggs into the pot and began to cook them with the spoon she took from Ash's hand. Ash stepped back and just let her cook. He turned to Cindy and asked her why they didn't get any margarine instead of butter, considering the price. My mom doesn't want to use it, she explained, because she'd read in a magazine once that margarine is one molecule away from being plastic. Ash leapt up at the information, but decided they still liked margarine anyway. They let May cook the eggs for them, and Ash began to toast some bread for everyone. During this time, Pikachu and Rain stepped into the kitchen, having smelled the eggs from around the building, and Ash brought the chair back in from the living room. They all sat around the table as May began to distribute the eggs and toast around the plates. Ash watched her face light up as she placed the eggs on them, cutely placing a piece of toast on the side of each one. Rain had poured each of them some orange juice for her part. But Ash could only focus on May. Images from Pikachu's espionage from last night came back into his mind. Drew kissed her. Did he do it on the lips? With his tongue? Ash shook his head. There's no way May would let him do that, he told himself. Perhaps on the cheek. He wanted to do that. Ash began to blush when he thought this. He shook the thought out from his head, and after sufficiently salting and peppering his eggs, he began to eat. May, on the other hand, looked at Ash with guilt in her heart. She knew that she couldn't tell him. It would hurt him so bad, she thought. I don't want him to be angry with Drew, especially when he agreed to help and train. She sighed, remembering the images from her dream. She knew she couldn't have them both like that. Ash, being who he is, would be far too jealous, and Drew would upstage Ash at every turn available, further forging a gap between them. She ate her eggs, making a sort of half sandwich with her piece of bread. Rain heard a knocking at the door and went to see who it was, and then she shortly returned with Drew in tow. Oh, hey Drew, May greeted him, smiling. Ash bit his fork when he said his name. Hiya, May, Drew greeted her coolly. He turned to Ash. Are you ready for training? He asked. Ash stood up, his fire and a spirit and determination in his eyes. Yeah, he shouted. Let's get going. Ash ran to the living room to collect his stuff. May looked at Drew. You want some eggs? No, thanks. He said, waving his hand. I already ate this morning. He changed the subject as Ash re-entered the room. Do you guys know how bad it is out there? He asked. Ash and May shook their heads. There are posters for the battle on nearly every wall. I managed to sneak one here. He reached into his jacket and pulled out the poster. The temptation to do the redeem is so real, but you won't take it away from the effect of the fanfic. Well, thank you. Well, there's a reason why I turned it off. Heh. You got home, got a chicken sandwich. Oh, let's go, Cherry. Chimkin sandwich. I make a toast for your lunch, Cherry. I have lemonade flavored water. And I'm actually running out, so I'm gonna have to get some more. And by get some more, I mean, like, go downstairs, pour some water and then just put some more drink mix in there. I use Crystal Light. Hey, you didn't realize you took it off? Yeah. You would never give in the circumstances. Well, I appreciate it, Aiden. But you know, someone like Stormblight probably wouldn't be so merciful. So it wasn't for you why I turned it off. It was for those who sow chaos, you could say. But anyway. He reached into his jacket and pulled out the poster. And yes, hydration is important. Thank you, Cherry. Someone understands me! A mochi can't be squishy if it's dried out. You know what I mean? It displayed a rather menacing-looking drawing of Ash and May, glaring from the darkness as Misty and Harley stood in the spotlight, ready to face off against them. The words "Contest Battle" were written across the top in yellow in all caps. Below that was the date and time, which was scheduled for the day after tomorrow at noon. More of Harley's propaganda, May sighed. Will we ever get a break? Let's go, Ash said, turning to Drew. The male coordinator agreed, and he, Ash, May, and Pikachu and Cindy left the house for the river not far from town. It was, however, far enough out of the way to prevent any onlookers from drawing attention to them. You could see Cerulean across the river, but it was far enough away that no one could accurately identify them. Cindy and Pikachu sat in the grass, watching the others prepare for the training. Ash called his Corphish out from his ball, and immediately Drew began to criticize. Oh man, this is your Corphish? He asked. Corphish shook his claws angrily at Drew. This thing's got no style at all. Maybe doing some flips or something when it comes out of the Pokeball would help. Ash nodded and instructed Corphish. Pokemon nodded, and after being recalled into the ball, was immediately resummoned. This time, the water type attempted to flip, but landed face first onto the ground. Ah, forget it, Drew sighed. We can work on that later. May had brought Squirtle out of his Pokeball, and was following along with Drew in the training exercise. She figured it would help her as well when they had to battle. The tiny turtle Pokemon came out of his ball spinning, before sticking his arms, legs, and head outside of his shell. Drew clapped and commended May. She and Squirtle blushed, while Ash and Corphish growled. Ash for the attention that Drew was giving May, and Corphish for being upstaged by the younger water-type Pokemon. Oh, also, enjoy your lurk, Cherry. Enjoy your lurk! Enjoy your chimkin sandwich. Yeah, he would have, yeah, exactly, he wouldn't have cared. Exactly! Are you gonna kill him? Drew or Harley? Smile. The next thing Drew tried to help with was attack appearance. Alright, Corphish, show us your bubble beam, Ash declared in a commanding voice. Harley? Okay, gotcha. That makes a lot more sense. And you're just gonna punch Drew? Okay, you know what? That's fair. You don't have to kill Drew. You just gotta make him suffer to the last sliver of life possible. Please don't put me on a list. Wait, I keep losing my place here. All right. The Pokemon wound up his claw, flung it forward with an intense force, shouting, as the yellow bubbles flew from his claw. That's not an ordinary color, Drew noted. At that, Corphish grinned, changing the color of the beam from yellow to green, to purple, to blue, and then back to yellow. When'd your Corphish learn to do that? Ash had to think for a moment. I think it was when we were about to leave Lilycove City, he recalled. I think he changed the color to impress this Mawile there, but she ignored him, and I guess he hadn't changed the color since. Drew shrugged. Okay, Corphish, told the Pokemon. What you need to do is keep the colors rotating. That'll impress the judges in the contest. Corphish smiled and nodded, having impressed the coordinator. Next was Crabhammer. You try to change the color, Corphish? Drew asked. I mean, it can't be that much harder than with Bubble Beam, right? Corphish grunted and strained, the glowing claws slowly beginning to rotate between various colors. The Pokemon was putting considerable effort into this, and began to strain his muscles. No, just blue is fine, Corphish, Drew told him. That looks harder for you to keep up, so one color on your claw should be good. Maybe blue, seeing as how it's a water-type attack. Corphish nodded, and his claw changed to a sky blue. This was much easier than rotating colors. During this time, May was practicing Squirtle's attacks. While he couldn't change Bubble's color, May knew that her true ace in this battle would be Ice Beam. She tried to teach Squirtle how to widen it. The river they were training next to was about as wide as the Cerulean Gym's pool, so May thought this would be a good practice target. The Ice Beam began with its normal width, but as Squirtle tried to widen it, the beam became much less powerful. May's goal now was to help Squirtle widen the beam while maintaining the same powers as the focused one. May, is Squirtle alright? Drew asked, walking over to them. Of course he is, May said, smiling at her fellow coordinator. We're just working on a new trick. Drew placed his hand on May's shoulder and looked into her eyes. Well, don't overexert yourself. I don't want you missing any of my lesson, he told her, his face close to hers. Suddenly, a bright green glow came from behind them. Carfish! The Pokemon shouted, glowing green for a moment. Hey, that must have been Hardin! Ash shouted. He kneeled down next to Corfish and began to rub the water type's head. Good job, buddy. You're really getting the hang of this. Corfish smiled and waved his claw into the air. May smiled at the extraordinary bond that the trainer and his Pokemon shared, and Drew saw her smiling and put on a frown. He began to walk up to Ash. Hey, why don't we try to see what we've learned so far in a practice battle? He asked. Sure, Ash said with a nod. Corfish shook his claws in agreement. Drew and Ash stood at the opposite ends of the clearing, and Corfish stepped up in front of Ash. Absol, go! Drew shouted, tossing the Pokeball containing his Dark type. The long-haired gray Pokemon stood before Ash and Corfish. May paused her training momentarily, sitting with Cindy and Pikachu in the grass to watch. Pikachu leapt into May's lap, and the coordinator wrapped her arms around him. All right, Corfish, let's start with Bubble Beam, Ash commanded. The Pokemon obeyed, launching a very impressive ray of rainbow-colored bubbles at Absol. Absol, Razor Wind, Drew ordered. Wait, lost my place again. The Pokemon wound his head back and launched the bladed attack from the blade on his face. The waves of wind cut through all of Corfish's bubbles and slammed fiercely into the ruffian Pokemon. Corfish, Crab Hammer! Ash commanded. The water type led into action, his claw going sky blue. Absol Iron Tail! Drew retaliated, a small grin on his face. Absol's tail blocked Corfish's attack and stopped him cold. Corfish, use Vice Grip on Absol's tail! Ash shouted. Corfish gripped Absol's glowing tail tightly in his grip, and it flung Absol into the ground, shaking it nearby. Absol rose to his feet, ready for more. All right, Absol, use Razor Wind! Drew ordered. Corfish, harden! Crustacean stiffened his muscles and emitted a red glow momentarily. The Razor Wind slammed into the Corfish, but the small Pokemon managed to endure it. Corfish, dig under the ground! He then spun his claws around very quickly, tunneling below. Absol, flush him out with Water Pulse! Drew commanded. An orb of water appeared before him. The Pokemon mentally forced into the ground, and a wave of water slid across, quickly entering and filling Corfish's hole. The water type, taken by surprise, leapt from the hole into the air, water following him. Absol Flash! The dark type then emitted a sharp white glow, blinding Corfish momentarily. Iron Tail! Drew continued the offensive, his eyes filled with fury. Absol lunged at Corfish, slamming his glowing tail into the opposing Pokemon. Corfish flew backwards at Ash, zipping past him into a tree. As the water type began to slide down, Drew continued. Razor Wind! He commanded. Absol obeyed, flinging yet another attack at Corfish. Still reeling from the previous two strikes, Corfish couldn't move fast enough to evade the attack and took it full force. As the small Pokemon cried out in pain, Drew ordered Absol to finish Corfish off with Iron Tail, and the disaster Pokemon began to charge at the slumped-over water type. Hey! Cut it out! Cindy shouted, leaping to her feet. Absol stood still and looked at Drew. I thought this was a practice battle, not a real one! You stay out of this! Drew shouted at her, noticeable anger in his voice. Corfish can't battle anymore! You're just bullying him! I don't think I should take advice from someone as young as you. Drew sneered, looking down his nose at her. I don't think you have any idea what you're talking about. Cindy snorted. What? Is it because I don't have breasts yet that my opinion isn't important? Drew was taken aback by the outburst in language, having been accused of womanizing by someone barely a young girl. You're just mad that Ash beat you last time, and now I don't know if you're trying to showboat or if you just want to hurt Corfish enough so that Ash can't be May's battle partner, Cindy accused. Is that true? May said, looking up at him, surprise in her eyes. Of course not! Drew adamantly defended himself. He tried to shift the focus off of him to someone else. Pikachu was spying on us when I kissed you last night. He pointed an accusatory finger at the Pokemon in her lap, who leapt up and then turned to her. Pikachu, were you really spying on us? She asked him. The electric type nodded, shame across his face. I bet Ash put him up to it, Drew said with a smirk, trying to incriminate. Ash had been turned to Corfish and picked up during the scene Cindy had created. He held the injured Pokemon in his lap, looking down at him. Corfish's eyes were still full of determination, but the water type's body wasn't able to show the same energy. What? Ash looked up, clearly not paying attention to what was happening. May looked at him with hurt in her eyes. And Cindy shot him a confused glance, and Drew had a smirk on his face, successfully having changed the subject from his transgressions over to Ash's. Did you send Pikachu to spy on Drew and me last night? She asked him. What? Of course not! Ash shouted, still holding Corfish in his arms. Pikachu wandered off by himself. I went with Ray to help fix a dinner. Yeah, I saw Ash walk off with her after you two left. You didn't tell Pikachu anything, Cindy defended him. So says the Ash fangirl, Drew said. So easy for him to blow holes in her defense, however much of an ad hominem those holes were caused by. Cindy quieted down, nevertheless looking at her feet. Look, May, Ash said, turning to her. I'm telling you, I didn't tell Pikachu to follow you. You can believe me, or you can believe Drew. It's your decision, not mine. I think, May said, standing up, that it's time for lunch! May smiled at the irritated group, trying to make even a temporary peace. They agreed, their arguing and training having worked up an appetite. Cindy branched a small cooking pot and set it on the pile of sticks. May used combustion to light the fire like she did when she and Ash were lost together. Cindy poured some of last night's stew into it to get heated up. Ash and Drew pulled bowls and spoons out of their packs and distributed them among the group. After May poured each of them some of the warm stew, they began to eat. Ash took a spoonful and fed his injured Corfish. The water type enjoyed the food as Ash took a spoonful for himself. Ash had given Absol some Pokeblock while the food was getting ready, but Ash was giving up part of his food for his friend. May saw this and thought very fondly of how Ash treated everyone. Stark contrast to how Drew had just been arguing with Cindy. She smiled at him as he cared for his injured partner. Cindy looked into the embers, the fire having been put out by Squirtle. To her, Drew had already proved that he was only nice to girls he found attractive. She saw Drew as a macho, sexist punk who needed to be put in his place. His harshness towards Ash and Corfish, wanting to ignore herself, made her dislike him even more. What does May see in him? She asked herself. I guess he's sort of cute, even if it looks like he doesn't eat well enough. And the roses are a romantic touch. Cindy found herself wanting Ash to take on that quality. She sighed and hoped that this afternoon's training would go better. May looked into her stew and thought about what Drew had done. Why was he so desperate to change my focus from him to anyone else? Was he afraid that I would think badly of him otherwise? The scene replayed through her head. Drew had brought Pikachu up, even though he had nothing to do with the situation at hand. May pondered that fact for a moment, and then looked at the sky. The sun was already past overhead. Afternoon was drawing close. She hoped Ash and Drew would get along better in the next round of training. Oh yeah, and there's also a bit of a author's note at the end, by the way. It's at the very end. The margarine quip is something my girlfriend's mom told me once. Now! Now then. Let me explain to y'all why that's BS. Two different reasons. Butter, or margarine, I should say. Okay, okay. Let me start this. Plastic is a polymer. Is a chain of specific molecule, or it is a bunch of molecules put together in a chain. Margarine is a colloidal substance of fats, oils, other hydrocarbons, and water. It is a colloid, not a polymer. So the claim that it is one molecule away from being plastic is just false on its face. The other reason is that even if that were the case, hydrogen peroxide is just one oxygen atom away from being water. By that same logic, then, you would probably be fine if you drank, if you ingested hydrogen peroxide. But I dare you to do that if you think that is the case. No! One singular atom can make a huge difference in the chemical properties of a molecule. Okay, rant over. Rant over. Sorry, that part's always bugged me for all this time of my reading this. So I have to call it out. Okay, but of course, so now I should say that I'm not saying that the author actually condones that information. He just said it's just something that his girlfriend's mom told him once. But I'm setting the record straight. I'm setting the record straight. Okay. Speaking of water, I love my non-solution of hydrogen peroxide. Or my solution of non-hydrogen peroxide. Or I like my dihydrogen monoxide. Although, also speaking of which there, I need to get more stuff. I just ran out. Verb. Okay, I'm back. I have returned.
The hardest thing is obviously
Everton.
finding products to sell and then getting off.
I hate ads. I hate ads. I hate ads. There we go. I got myself YouTube Premium. I don't want to spend money on a problem that YouTube themselves created, you know? Or spend money on a solution to a problem that YouTube themselves created. You know what I mean? Anyway. Okay. Yes, I have my water now. My lemonade flavored water. Yeah. Lemonade flavored water. Okay. Oh, wait, do I really play that song here? Oh my god, I really do play that song in this one. Oh, I'm so excited! Oh, I'm really excited for this one. Alright. Chapter 17. Crying. The group packed up their items, but had to wait for Corfish to get better before training could resume. Ash placed the tired but fed Pokemon back into his ball for resting. Drew thought he could help May practice by giving her a practice battle as well. Ash and Cindy sat in the grass on the sidelines, with Pikachu sitting in Cindy's lap. The two coordinators faced off against each other in the clearing. Squirtle, take the stage! May spun and tossed her Pokemon into the air. The ball snapped open, and a spinning shell spun out of the ball. The head, arms, and legs and tail Squirrel popped down, the Pokemon landing on his feet. Butterfree, go! Drew shouted, tossing the ball into the air. The Pokemon appeared, but it was one May didn't know Drew had. Her body was in two segments. The top featured her large, red segmented eyes and antennae. The lower and larger part of her blue body housed her small claws and long feet. Her black and white wings featured a beautiful pattern. Free! I can't do Butterfree's voice. Sorry. Oh, I didn't know you had a Butterfree, Drew, May said, smiling at him, reaching into her pocket. She pulled out the yellow Pokédex that Professor Oak had given her. She opened it and pointed at the Pokemon. It whirred for a moment, then clicked. A picture of Butterfree appeared on the screen, and the recording of data on Butterfree began. Butterfree, said the Pokédex. The butterfly Pokemon. It has a superior ability to search for delicious honey from flowers. It can seek, extract, and carry honey from flowers blooming over 6 miles away. That reminds me of your Butterfree, Ash, Cindy commented. How did you know I used to have a Butterfree? Misty told the kids at the gym one day. She told a lot of stories about you. She told us about the time Butterfree helped fight against a Tentacruel that was attacking Porta Vista in the story of how she got horsey. Wait, wasn't I supposed to... Okay, I do not know why that's tagged. Anyway. Ash thought about this for a moment. Misty had sung his praises in the past after all. There's gotta be a way we can get Misty to see that Harley's lying. It's too late to tell her the truth. Battle's already scheduled, so we're gonna have to fight anyway. I hope I can snap her out of it. He knew he had to wait for Corfish's strength to come back before he could continue, so he decided to watch May and Drew battle so he could pick up some tips. Squirtle, use Bubble, May ordered. The Squirtle took in breath, and then blew a flurry of bubbles in Butterfree's direction. Butterfree, Gust! The Butterfree flapped her wings rapidly, blowing the bubbles away from the battlefield. May grunted at her failed assault. Okay, Squirrel, come in close with Rapid Spin, she told her water type. Squirrel pulled his body into a shell and began to spin through the air at Butterfree. Butterfree, however, lurched skyward, causing Squirrel to miss. Butterfree, Drew commanded, Psychic! Butterfree began to glow bright blue, her eyes emitting the most light. Squirrel Shell also took on the glow. Butterfree mentally began spinning Squirrel backwards and forced him onto the ground in front of her trainer. The spinning shell dug a small hole in the ground. When Squirtle came out, he looked slightly dazed. The tiny turtle Pokemon shook it off quickly and awaited May's next command. Squirtle, try Ice Beam! May commanded. Squirtle opened his mouth and began forming a bright glowing blue ball in front of it. He fired the arcing beam of cold energy at the butterfly Pokemon overhead. Butterfree, protect! Drew ordered. The Pokemon created a green force field around herself, and the ice beam was absorbed, causing Butterfree no damage at all. Come on, Drew, take me seriously, May protested. Drew looked at her in surprise. What do you mean? You haven't launched a single attack at me the entire battle except for that psychic defense, she pointed out. All you've been doing are defensive techniques. What's wrong with that? Drew asked skeptically. If you want me to respect you, then take my battle seriously. Drew's expression turned stern. All right, then I'll have to expose the flaws in your battle style. Flaws in my battle style? She asked. Squirtle glared at Butterfree, who remained enigmatic. Butterfree began to charge at Squirtle at high speed. Squirtle, use Bubble! May commanded. Squirtle once again launched bubbles at the butterfly. They began to glow blue before they hit him, and stopped in mid-air and began to form a circle around him, who was also glowing with the blue color. I said take me seriously, not keep playing with me, May said, shouting in anger. I'm teaching you a lesson, May. You know what, then? I'll have to teach you one, then. Squirtle, Ice Beam! Squirtle's Ice Beam was shot at Drew's Pokemon, but the bubbles Butterfree held with her mind intercepted as Butterfree flew sideways. The bubbles froze into orbs of ice, still held by the bug and flying type. Now, Butterfree, Drew ordered. At her master's insistence, the Butterfree tossed the frozen bubbles in Squirrel's direction. Some shattered around him, startling the young Pokemon, but most hit their mark, injuring Squirtle and landing them on his back. Finish this with Psybeam! He ordered. From Butterfree's antennae shot a beam of concentrated psychic energy. The beam crashed into the water type, sending him backwards, to lay unconscious at May's feet. May picked up Squirtle and looked up at Drew in disbelief. But how? You fight too much like Ash does, Drew told her. All offense and little defense. Contests require defense. Without that, you'll never beat Mr. Harley. He recalled Butterfree and started to walk back to Cerulean. You both have that problem, he told them, walking away. Ash fights with a trainer mindset, and May's been learning from a poor source for coordinator strategies. Turn to them once again. I wish you both good luck in your battle with Harley and Misty, but from what I can tell, your victory seems unlikely at best. He once again walked off, this time leaving the group entirely. Ash thought inward. Is that true? I have been training May since she started. Can I help that my battling style is what she picked up? I'm a trainer, not a coordinator. Is it really then my fault for being a trainer that May lost the Kanto Grand Festival? Because I spent so much trying to prepare her only to prepare her improperly? I've been the one misleading May all this time without knowing? Ash's eyes began to swell with tears, but he forced them back. I can't believe it. I'm so stupid. It's all my fault. If I had known better, if May was with a coordinator, if she was with Drew, then maybe she wouldn't have lost. That's true, May thought. I have been hanging on Ash's word when it comes to training. I even battle like him. Was that really my downfall when I battled Saori in the Grand Festival? She saw Ash stand up and run into the forest. She thought she could see something shimmering slide down one of his cheeks. Oh no, Ash blames himself for this. Poor guy's taking this realization pretty hard. I better go talk to him. She repeated as much to Cindy, an oppressed-looking Pikachu. They nodded in agreement and chased the boy into the woods. Ash stood next to a tree, punching it harshly, crying. Such a loser. I failed May. I failed her. I failed my pupil. I failed my friend. I failed the girl who looked up to me, learned from me. I failed her father. I told him that I would take care of her and make her into a great trainer. Some promise that turned out to be. I completely screwed her up because of me. She might never reach her dream of a top coordinator. I've only been slowing her down. I'm a reject, just like Gary knew I was. Ash? A sweet voice called to him. The boy looked up, his eyes red from the tears to see her in that green bandana he bought her. That smiling face belonging to that sweet, innocent girl. The girl he loved. The girl he failed. What do you want? He choked out, sounding more forceful than he meant to. We came to see what was wrong with you. She walked up to him from behind. Pikachu walked up and placed his hands on Ash's leg. What's wrong with me is that I've been teaching you how to be a trainer instead of a coordinator, he cried. What's wrong is that you've adopted a battle style not meant for contests because of me training you, and I've caused you to lose! Closed his eyes and shouted at them. What's wrong with me is that I've caused you so much harm, caused you to lose an opportunity to become a great coordinator, all without knowing it because I'm so stupid! He fell backwards and sat leaning up against the tree, crying. Pikachu leapt in his lap, trying to comfort the depressed young man. May looked at him solemnly. I certainly had a lot of pride in my successes. Has been there for me even in the beginning, so I guess naturally felt proud of me when I got so far in my contests. I was glad to know that it made a positive difference. I could see it in my work in my life. Now that's been stripped of him, replaced with the knowledge that his help has become my downfall. Ash, get up! Cindy had begun to burst into tears herself. You don't cry! You're too tough for that! Obviously, Cindy, seeing her hero crumpled over in a heap, crying, had upset her. Get up! Show me that fighting spirit that I see when you battle! Her eyes filled with tears. She clapped against his leg. Get up! She cried, gently hitting him. After a while, she finally had given in to the crying and just began to weep. May knew what she had to do. Pikachu, she told him, lead Cindy back to her house and take Corfish and Squirrel's Pokeballs with you. They'll need the rest. Pikachu stood up and looked May in the eyes. They were also tearing up, but he saw in May an inner strength he had originally thought only his trainer had. Her eyes watered, but she didn't cry. Not this time. Pikachu nodded and grabbed Corfish's Pokeball from Ash's belt. May placed Squirrels in Cindy's hand, and Pikachu led her out of the forest. May sat down next to the boy and began to... Sorry, that was a little loud. And began to rub his back with one of her hands, trying to soothe the distraught trainer. I'm sorry, May, he whimpered. I'm sorry I failed you. May smiled at him. I don't think you failed me, Ash, she said. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you've been there to guide me. Not that long ago, I was a new trainer. I needed help from an experienced trainer like you. I didn't even really like Pokemon, what with Dad's gym battles keeping him away all the time. But you showed me a different side. The bond between you and Pikachu showed me that Pokemon aren't bad. It's what you make of them. Your love for Pikachu is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Do anything for your friends, not just Pikachu or me. You may not be able to put it into words, but I'm sure you love all of us. Max, Brock, me, all of the Pokemon, all of us. You are the best friend any of us could have wished for, and Ash, you have to believe in yourself. A familiar voice came up from behind them. You're not gonna give up, are you, Ash? An even younger voice spoke up. Both Ash and May looked up to see their friends standing above them. Brock! Max! May shouted, smiling. She took her brother into her arms and clutched him tightly. Oh, I miss you so much, Max! She smelled her brother's hair and immediately pushed him back. Phew, Max! What have you taken a bath since... Have you taken a bath since we got separated? Hey! Max argued. I wanted to save time so we can get here sooner. Use the Poké now to find some shortcuts. I mean, save time by cutting all the other stuff out of the schedule. Don't worry, Brock assured them. I've been bathing. I just did it when Max was eating. I've been eating on the go. The older trainer then turned to Ash. We heard what May said about you, and I agree. I've never met someone like you. From what I can tell from our travels, there is no one else like you. You're an inspiration to everyone you meet. The way you care for your friends and Pokemon. You've helped May in ways that no one else could ever teach her. You taught her that winning isn't what is most important. It's the respect you have for your opponents and your Pokemon. It truly is about love. Thank you, May, Ash said, looking up to them. Thank you, Brock. I needed that. He rubbed his eyes dry and stood up. But what was wrong, Ash? Max asked him. We didn't hear what happened in the first place. Drew got him upset, May told him before Ash could talk. He said that I battled too much like Ash to win in contests, and he blamed himself for my loss at the Grand Festival. She then turned to Ash. But it's okay that I lost. It shows that I have room for improvement. I just have to try harder next time, alright? She smiled at him. And with that, Ash's confidence was being built back up. Yeah, you're right. Let's go check up on Squirtle and Corphish. May nodded, and the two trainers then turned and began to walk away. Hold on a second! Brock grabbed both of them by the shoulder. What happened to Squirtle and Corphish? They're alright, May said, laughing. Just a little battle-weary. Are they at the Pokemon Center? Max asked them. Ash and May remembered the smear campaign that Harley was running in Cerulean. Why not come with us? Ash said, smiling uneasily. Oh, hi, Yubi! Is that the famous Mochi? It is! Is that the famous Yubi? Thank you for the posture check. Ooh. And also, I'm thirsty, so I'm hydrating right now as well. Ooh. Ah! I've been drinking so much more water since getting Crystal Light. Oh my goodness. They can be save money too. So I don't have to spend it on Gatorade, which is a little overpriced. I'd argue. Also, it saves a lot of plastic too. Oh man, I lost my place. But yeah, I'm doing well, UV. Just doing some reading. Doing some reading. And, you know, just having fun with it. How about you, Yubi? How are you doing? How is your Saturday doing? I hope you're having a good one. Okay, I kind of lost my place, I think. Okay. Ash May then remembered the smear campaign that Harley was running in Cerulean. Why not come with us? Ash said, smiling uneasily. May also placed a counterfeit smile on her face. All right, what's up? Brock asked the suspicious pair. We'll explain on the way, Ash sighed. The quartet sat in the living... After a while, the quartet sat in the living room portion of Cindy's house. Brock thanked Rain for the tea and sipped on it, thinking. So Missy's gonna battle you both in a contest? Brock asked him, trying to wrap his mind around the story. Yeah, Ash explained. Harley put her up to it. She thinks May's been doing bad stuff to me and wouldn't give us a chance to explain her story. Got no choice but try to reach her during the battle. Yeah, Max interrupted. I remember what Drew told you. You're gonna have to change your fighting style if you want to win. Brock nodded. I bet Harley's training Misty right now, he told him. Granted, Harley's not the greatest teacher, but Misty could easily adapt those strategies to her battle style and become a force to be reckoned with. Who's gonna help us, Brock? May asked. Drew thinks that we're a lost cause, and we don't know any other coordinators nearby. That's not true, Rain interrupted. I used to be a Pokemon coordinator before I got married. I don't have any Pokemon anymore, though, so I can only offer advice, not help practice. What happened to your Pokemon? May asked. It was a long time ago, Rain reminisced. I was on my way to Cerulean after competing in a Pokemon contest, when I saw a younger boy trying his hardest to capture a Pokemon. The red-haired boy cried at the side of the road, an empty Pokeball sitting in front of him. What's wrong? Much younger Rain asked him. Hair was flowing down to the middle of her back. She didn't wear glasses. She still wore a rather plain-looking dress, however. I can't get a Pokemon to become my partner, the boy sniffled. My cousin said that I wouldn't amount to anything, and I need to catch a Pokemon to prove her wrong. What's your name? Rain asked the younger boy. He stood up and looked at her, his blue eyes filled with tears. My name's Joe, and I'm working to become a Pokemon doctor. My name's Rain, the young woman responded, and I've been trying to become a coordinator. Here's my partner. She pulled a Pokeball from her waist and opened it. Young Steel and Flying type Pokemon appeared. Yeah! I can't do Skarmory. I can't do a Skarmory, boys. Oh, cool. For Skarmory and your help, I'm sure to get a Pokemon, the boy cheered. But, regardless of how many times we tried, Rain continued, we still couldn't catch a single Pokemon. I took a closer look at his Pokeball, though, and found the problem. Here it is, Rain pointed out. There's a missing panel in here. The Pokemon can't be properly contained, so the ball just lets them out. Joe started to cry again. I knew my cousin would try to sabotage me like this. Now I'll never get a Pokemon. calm down. Rain patted him on the back. We'll go together, and we'll both use my Skarmory, okay? Really? The boy sniffed, looking up into her gray eyes. So we traveled to the Pokemon Doctor's School, and I stayed in that town with him while he took the classes and everything. I then started to fall in love with him. He was Skarmory in the school when the entire majority of the other entrants used Chansey. He trained Skarmory to be gentler with her talons, and even she started to share his dream of becoming a Pokemon doctor. Before I knew it, 4 years had passed in that town, and graduation day was soon approaching. Rain. An older Joe stood before an older Rain. He had grown to be quite tall and handsome, she noted. His blue eyes looked sharply into hers, and she felt captivated. I want to thank you so much for everything you've done. He held out a gold pocket watch to her. I want you to have this, he told her. He also pulled out Skarmory's Pokeball. You can also take Skarmory with you. She's been a great help. Why? Surprised Rain asked him. She then felt sadness in her heart. Are you trying to get rid of me? He closed his eyes and shook his head. No, but I've been delaying you here for 4 years. The school will give me a Pokemon to use in a center as soon as I find an assignment. I wanted to repay you for your kindness by giving you my grandfather's pocket watch. You keep it, she said, flushing and pushing his hand back. I haven't minded staying here all this time. You've done an excellent job taking care of Skarmory. And besides, she said, starting to blush, I think I kind of like you. She looked at him to see him blushing. Oh no. Oh, I've gone and ruined our friendship, she worried, shaking her head back and forth. She then felt She then felt Dr. Joseph's strong arms around her. It's alright. I love you too, right? She wrapped her arms around him in return, and they embraced. Isn't that sweet? Teenage Nurse Joy, wearing a tank top and tight denim shorts, walked up to them. Who's that? Rain looked up and asked. Joseph sighed and turned to face Joy. That's my cousin. I can't believe you're going to try to run a Pokemon Center with a Skarmory, she said, snorting. Skarmory and I will become the greatest Pokemon Center running team in the world. You'll see, he proclaimed. Joy laughed and walked off, while Rain placed her hands on Joseph's shoulders and massaged them. It's all right. I know you're the better person. She leaned in and kissed him on the cheek. In a few years, we were married, and after that, Cindy was born. She continued. With young Cindy in our care, we had to make a decision. One that carried quite a bit of weight, since my grandmother had passed away shortly after Cindy was born. I decided that I would take over her clothing store, while he and Skarmory lived in the center. Cindy needed to be close enough to a city to go to school, and the closest was Cerulean. Everything just worked into place. God works like that sometimes. Cindy! Ash jumped up. She still has our Pokemon! Where'd she go? She came and told me that you two would be a bit late, but she was going to see her Aunt Joy at the Pokemon Center, I told them. Then the reality of the situation had struck them. Had struck her. Oh no, she gasped. Now we're back to the romantic stuff, and someone else is live with the most UFO streams open. Oh, wait, is it you know who? Oh, dude, go for it. You got this, my guy, you got this. Oh, don't worry, Aiden, you got this. I believe in you. Just slide in there, say hi, engage. You got this. All right, anyway. Chapter 18, Cops. I can't believe that pug passed! An infuriated teenage witch pouted. With a higher grade than me, even! The man just does not fit as a Pokemon nurse. Who does he think he is? She complained to another, more conservatively dressed Joy walking beside her. Well, you know that a lot of stereotypes are being brought down, the calmer Joy told her. You might see a lot more male nurses using a wider array of Pokemon. I can't stand the fact that he's made it, though. He's such a sissy, but now he's upstaged me. He's made a mockery of me. My own younger cousin is undermining my authority. Don't you think you're blowing this thing out of proportion? Calm Joy asked. What do you know? You're probably just gonna take his side anyway. She then turned and mounted up the door, heading for her first assignment. A few years had passed, and she got an invitation to a wedding. She read the names and tossed it aside. She later got pictures, which she also threw away, and was asked by her sisters why she couldn't make it. Work-related, she lied. It was a couple years down the road before she heard of them again. Great news! Her older sister came up on the screen. Joseph's a father now! He's got a beautiful baby girl! The Joy in the hospital moved the camera to see a very small, dark blue-haired baby girl sleeping quietly in her mother's arms. Many other Nurse Joys had gathered around, smiling and telling the mother how cute her baby was. Watching Joy's male cousin had fainted on the floor, as Skarmory tapping him on the head with her beak. Yeah, said the Joy watching the event. Real great news. The Joy inside the monitor turned to her. I'm sorry you're in the Orange Islands right now. I'm sure you'd like to be here in person. I wouldn't miss it for the world, said the Joy outside the monitor. She hit the emergency siren with her foot, causing a loud noise to reverberate through her center. Oh, looks like there's an emergency. Talk to you later, sis. She hung up the phone and disabled the alarm. I'll get my revenge, she thought. I'll get it someday. Many more years passed, and that same Joy had found herself working in the Cerulean Pokemon Center, a mere 2 or 3 days' travel from her estranged cousin. But she made no effort on her part to see her cousin or the in-law. She did, however, manage to meet her niece when she visited the Pokemon Center. She earned the young girl's trust and even broadened her vocabulary, so to speak. She took little interest in the girl and her idol, some wandering trainer named Ash or something. That was well until Misty's sisters had begun distributing posters of an upcoming battle. She recognized the name from some of the emails the young girl had sneaked to her, knowing full well that her mother would disapprove of the Pokemon nurse, citing her as a bad influence. She clicked over to the registration of Pokemon who had come through the center recently. Sure enough, 2 trainers named Ash and May had their Pokemon healed here not too long ago. She saw that May had 4 Pokemon and Ash had 5, but she faintly remembered a 6th Pokemon with them. Donphan, Sceptile, Swellow, Ipom, Corphish, she thought to herself. Who was that last one? Took it with them and didn't register it with the center. Auntie Joy! She looked up with a smile on her face as the young girl ran to the counter. Auntie Joy! She repeated. A small yellow Pokemon chased behind her. What is it, Sugar? Joy asked Cindy as the girl caught her breath. Can you heal these Pokemon for me? She placed 2 Pokeballs on the table, panting from running so hard. She took them from her and placed them on the registration machine. Corphish and Squirrel's bios appeared, and then the Joy smiled a vile smile indeed. Her chance to strike had come. Tell me, Cindy, where'd you get these Pokemon? She asked her slyly. Oh, Cindy laughed up. I never told you. Ash is staying with us at the house. These Pokemon belong to him and his friend May. Ash is staying with you, you say. She restated with the gears turned to her head. Eevee! Pikachu had caught up to the counter. He hopped from Cindy's head to the countertop. This is Ash's Pikachu! Cindy gleefully cheered. You know, the one I told you about. Isn't he cute? My goodness, yes, he certainly is cute, Joy falsely agreed. She picked up the electric type and placed him on the counter. As she began manual registration of the Pokeball-less Pikachu, she slid her foot to the silent alarm and tripped it. Okay, Pikachu. She hit her nose behind a mask of cheerfulness. I guess I can heal you too. She placed Pikachu on a tray with the Pokeballs, with Squirtle Corphish's Pokeballs. Cindy! The Pokemon nurse heard coming from the door. 5 people had just barged into the center. A young boy in a cap, a girl about his height with a green bandana, a really little kid, and an older boy stood in front of her cousin's wife. Ash, you're here! Aren't you proud? I brought your Pokemon to the center for you. And he said, running up to him. That's Ash? Joy thought. That punk who's friends with Joe wouldn't listen to me? This Pikachu is the 6th Pokemon? Well, just let me wait until Jenny arrives. Thank you, Cindy, but next time wait for the rest of us, okay? Ash said to her, smiling at the young child. Cindy smiled and looked at the small boy next to Ash. She and Max then pointed at each other. Who are you? They asked simultaneously. Oh yeah, Ash said, beginning to introduce them. Max, this is Cindy, Rain's daughter. We've been staying with them. Cindy, this is Max. He's May's little brother and has been traveling with us for a while. Oh, wow, Cindy said, smiling at Max. You get to travel with Ash? She giggled as she hopped up and down. You gotta tell me what it's like to travel with him. Huh? Max was confused. What do you mean? Ash is a pretty regular guy. You've never seen her room, huh? May said, giggling. Ash looked at May, wondering what she meant by that exactly. Freeze! Everyone to the floor! A woman police officer leapt in the center, her gun in the air. Brock leapt up to her. Officer Jenny! Love filled his eyes, and he came down on one knee in front of her. I'd let you walk all over me any day. I said, everyone to the floor! Jenny said, shoving him down with her foot. All the trainers in the center covered their heads as they ducked to the floor. Jenny stepped over them to the counter. What seems to be the problem, Joy? She asked, lowering her gun. These Pokemon were stolen by that little punk, she declared, pointing at Sydney. Which Pokemon? The officer asked. A Squirtle, a Corphish, and a Pikachu. She brought them here, thinking I'd heal them. But what that criminal didn't think was that I would check where these Pokemon came from. Joy looked down at her nose at Cindy. Especially from such a little girl. She leaned over and picked up the tray, holding Pikachu and the 2 Pokeballs. Pikachu! The Pokemon leapt up, running over to one of the trainers who were lying on the floor. Jenny turned to the group. Does that Pikachu belong to you? She asked May. May stood up and held Pikachu in her arm. No, he belongs to my friend Ash, he explained. Ash looked up at the officer, who nodded, signifying that it was okay for Ash to stand up. He stood up, as instructed, and Pikachu leapt to him. I asked Cindy to look after our Pokemon for us. We just came here to catch up to her. She hasn't done anything wrong, they continued. Jenny wrote down the account in her notepad. She looked over at the small girl, who by this time had hidden her head inside Max's green shirt. Pull your head out of there, young lady. That's not appropriate for someone your age, the officer warned her. Blushing bright red, Cindy took her head out from inside Max's shirt and stood up. The small boy also came to his feet after having Cindy invaded the back of his shirt. You're Cindy, right? The girl nodded, embarrassed and tearful. Do you want to press charges? Jenny turned to Ash and May, who are helping Brock and Rain up, respectively. Of course not! Ash shouted. The family's been really good to us. All that happened was just a little misunderstanding. Jenny flipped her notebook closed. Well, then, my work here is done. I'll file the report, but nothing should come on anyone's criminal record. Wrong keyboard combination. But why, Auntie Joy? Cindy walked up to the counter. Why did you think I was stealing those Pokemon? I told you who gave them to me. No, you don't like this lady either. Yeah, she's a someone. And yeah, and of course, yeah, Brock. And hey, also, if you think about it though, Aiden, Brock probably didn't mind getting shoved down to the ground. Let's think about that for a moment. I told you who gave them to me. Because your father's pissed me off ever since we were little, the boy shouted. Ever since he was little, he's always playing with his sister's dolls. Talking about how he wanted to be a Pokemon nurse when he should have been doing boy things. She turned to Rain, whom Brock helped stand after Jenny had taken her notes. He never got a chance to toughen up because of that broad right there. Your mother continued to baby him, and then he got into the nurse's school. He never even caught his own Pokemon, for crying out loud. That Skarmory was your mother's only Pokemon, and she practically gave it to him. Her gaze turned back to Cindy. But that wasn't all. He graduated at the top of the class that year. Even beating me. And not even that was good enough. He got married to that bitch and had you. You've been a reminder of your father to me ever since I met you. I could see his spirit in you, and I wanted to crush it ever since I met you. She clenched her fists and shook shocked girl. And when I finally get the chance to put in your place, your hero has come to the rescue. You make me all sick. Joy's tirade was brought to a halt when Rain, out of nowhere, had punched Joy square in the face, sending the nurse tumbling behind the counter. Blood from Joy's nose remained on Rain's head and on the desk. The Pokemon nurse held her nose to try to slow the flow. Did you see her assault me? She whined to Jenny. She bled in her white apron, staining the delicate material. Jenny, on the other hand, looked at Joy scornfully. I'm turning the other way on this one. If she hadn't done it, I'd sure have. Give me your badge number, Joy screeched. I'll get you off the force! I've gotten many eyewitness accounts of you bad-mouthing a little girl, Jenny said, looking down her nose at the raging nurse, flipping her notebook closed again after jotting down notes from her outburst. I'm not to put your character into question. If you push this, you might end up being the one out of a job. Cerulean's known for its police force, not just because of our skill, but because we uphold justice for all. And I'd say justice has been served today, however extrajudicial it was. Joy looked back at Rain. The former coordinator's eyes glazed over with rage. She picked Joy up by the collar, lifting her off the ground. If you ever say anything of that nature around my daughter again, Rain threatened, more than your nose will be broken. Base, Officer Jenny, base! Yes, exactly. And yeah, I got the ultimate kill screen sound effect just for that scene. I hope y'all are proud of me. Rain also based. Seriously. I'll ignore the terroristic threatening, but you're gonna have to set her down. The mother complied, dropping Joy back behind the counter. Chansey had come out of the back room smiling, pulling bandages. Chansey began to carefully wrap Joy's wound. Pokemon joyfully wrapped her partner's bloody nose and then grabbed Ash and May's Pokeballs and handed them to their respective trainers. They smiled and thanked the Ed Pokemon for her assistance. Chansey's a much better nurse than that Joy will ever be, May whispered to Ash, causing him to chuckle. But why did Pikachu run over to you? Ash whispered back, still thinking about that incident. Maybe he likes me more, May said, winking at him, giggling. Way to play favorites, buddy, Ash sarcastically told Pikachu. The mouse Pokemon sighed, not even attempting to explain. Cindy sat on the ground, her legs spread far apart. She was absolutely stunned at her aunt's words. How could she treat her family this way? The distressed girl pondered, the thought echoing through her head. Need a hand? The voice asked her. She looked up to see Max smiling at her from behind his glasses. She slowly nodded and took his hand. Max pulled her to her feet. Cindy began dusting herself off. Are you all right? He asked her. Cindy felt her face heat up. Yeah, I'm fine. Just startled is all. You'll be fine, Max assured her, a smile on his face. People can say some pretty mean stuff, but you can't let it get to you. Ash taught me that. He smiled and began to crack jokes to ease the tension. Please don't stick your head up my shirt again. I'm not a very good hiding place. Cindy felt herself smile as the rest of the group called the two youngsters over. Can you tell me more about your travels with Ash? She asked him. The group left the Pokemon Center to find a mob outside, waiting for Ash and May. The group began to blind the traders with their flashing camera lights, but a quick thunder wave from Pikachu's shorted out their cameras, forcing them to leave with no footage. Base DMP. The party of 6 began walking down the road. When they got to the fork that would lead out of the city or to the gym, Brock opted for the gym. I want to try to talk to Misty, he said. She's my friend, and I hope she'll listen to what I say. Ash wished him good luck and told him that they would be at Cindy's house later in the evening. Hey, wait, May remembered. You said you could help us with our training? She turned to Rain, who had since returned to her calm herself. Yes, she said, removing her glasses and wiping them off. But Joseph's got her Skarmory right now, so I could only offer advice. I could battle. Hey, wait, Ash recalled. Someone of this town owes us! She turned to May. Remember? The idea clicked in the girl's head as well. We're going to the ice cream parlor, May said, smiling. I can get a hot fudge sundae! Wait, what about ice cream? Max asked. Who owes you? May grabbed Max by the arm and began to run down the street, with Ash, Rain, and Cindy following. May and her brother waited in front of the now familiar ice cream parlor for the rest of the group. As the rest of them caught up, the group went inside. Hey, isn't that... The youngest boy said before his sister and her friend covered his mouth. No! Now shush! Ash and May said, each placing a hand on his mouth. May caught that she was holding Ash's hand and shot a wry smile up to his auburn eyes before letting go. Ash blushed slightly and released Max's mouth himself. The boy silently witnessed the scene between the two, but said nothing. May proceeded up to the counter and looked at the menu. Oh, what do I want this time? She pondered herself. Well, I mean, she said she wanted to get a hot fudge sundae, so I guess maybe she changed her mind. She almost giggled with anticipation. May, we're here to ask for help, not to eat, Ash reminded her. I don't think we'll be getting anything. May then put on her puppy dog eyes. Please, Ash, the girl cutely begged him, leaning on his shoulder. Can we stay and get some ice cream? Only a little. Ash's resolve against May had immediately dissolved. All right, he gave in. We'll get some ice cream. May nuzzled her head against Ash's shoulder and giggled. Thank you, Ash, she told him, walking back up to the counter to order something from the blue-haired man working the register. You two make a cute couple, Raina whispered to Ash. He felt his face turn redder than May had made it with her antics. You really think? Whispered back. Cindy and Max pushed past the two and ordered something from the blue-haired man. Max shot a knowing gaze at a familiar face, but the worker smiled it off, silently thanking Ash and May. Obvious she's interested in you. Are you afraid? May continued. It's not that, Mary whispered back. There's this other guy. That Drew from earlier today. Is he the one? I asked him. Jeez, make it sound as obvious as when Brock does something. Ash pulled his hat down over his eyes, embarrassed. I'm just good at reading people in love, she smiled. The only advice I can give you is try your hardest and be yourself, Ash. Don't ever try to be anyone else. Ash smiled, the thought of him dressed as Drew making him laugh inside his mind. Thanks, Raid. Now, we need to get some ice cream and go sit with the others. Oh, by the way, she told Ash while scanning the menu. I think the reason Pikachu went over to May was to protect her. Pokemon often take on the characteristics and behavior of their trainers. Pikachu was just doing what he knew you'd want him to do. Really? Ash looked at the small Pokemon sitting on his shoulder. Pikachu nodded and laughed, pushing toward an ice cream sandwich that he wanted as a reward. Yeah, he is! He is! He cannot resist. He cannot resist. They use charm. Axe's attack sharply fell. He just can't win it. He just can't, man. Oh man, am I thirsty. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Man! Reading does a lot of stuff to you. Know what I mean? I may use charm, Ash is incapacitated. No. Wait, no. No, she used attract. Ash is immobilized by love. Oh god, I love making Pokemon jokes while reading a Pokemon fanfiction. But you know what I love more than that? Making Smash Ultimate jokes while reading a Pokemon fanfiction! Oh, I love it. I love it. That's so me, though, so I can't even... Honestly, me too. Me too, actually. You should have seen me when I was with my ex-fiance. She had a way of getting things. She had her ways of getting things. All right. Anyway, chapter 19, channel. Brock stepped in the Cerulean gym and heard a battle raging. He quietly walked into the pool and saw that Misty was the only human in the gym. For Gyarados and Politoed battled each other, each trading attacks. Gyarados! Hyper Beam! Misty called out. Politoed? Water Gun! As each of the Pokemon launched their attacks at each other, Brock walked up behind the gym leader who stood at the side of the pool. Hey, was all that Brock said when he placed his hand on her shoulder. Misty jumped in surprise and turned around to see her old friend. Oh, Brock! Misty said overjoyed. I'm so glad to see you. It's nice to see you too, Misty. How about two Kanto gym leaders catch up with each other? Brock calmly suggested. I would. Misty shot. Misty shot him a mischievous glance before returning to watch the battle. But isn't your little brother Forrest the gym leader in Pewter now? Well, how about for a friend then? Brock said, smiling. Anytime, Misty said, smiling back. She told Gyarados and Polito that the battle was over, and the two water types entered their battle and began to swim quietly. Misty led Brock to a small teal room. He took a moment to absorb the green on the walls. Sitting on the carpet in the middle was a coffee table, on which stood a framed picture. Do you remember this, Brock? Misty asked him. He sure did. The picture showed Ash, Misty, and Brock standing outside Ash's house. The sun had just risen that day, tinting the image orange. Brock and Misty both had one hand on Ash's shoulder and smiled at the camera as Delia had taken the picture. It seemed like such a long time ago, right before they left for the Johto region. Now, how'd you get here so early, Brock? Misty asked. Ash said that you wouldn't be here until tomorrow. Well, this time we took a shortcut that worked, Brock joked with his former traveling companion. And I actually wanted to talk to you about Ash. Oh. Ah! Wrong keyboard combination! I accidentally opened the Patrick video tab. You've seen the posters? Misty asked. How can I not have? Brock tossed a folded up copy onto the table in front of her friend. What's the deal, Misty? I heard from a reliable source that May has been doing bad things to Ash, Misty told him, hoping to win him over to the story she believed. Brock had already been told the story by Ash and May, but he decided that he would let Misty talk. Oh? Like what? Nope, that was the right keyboard combination! Quiet, you! His shoulders are cut up pretty bad, Misty said, sadness in her voice. And they used to be so strong. I can't even imagine what she's probably doing to him right now. Ah, a swallow thing, Brock thought. Can you tell me this reliable source? Brock asked her. A reliable source, my effing butt! Let me... Yep, exactly! Let me stop before I crash out again. No. You need to beat a Parley, please. Please beat him up. He knew that he had to show Harley's true colors if he wanted Misty to believe him. It was May's first boyfriend, and he told me all the things May used to do to him, Misty explained. I could tell that I shouldn't have trusted her. She's been playing you and May's brother for fools. Brock was still silently snickering at the thought of May and Harley as a couple. What do you mean playing us for fools? She always appeared like she's not doing anything wrong, but when you two are busy with something, she's always beating him and belittling him. Ever since you all came back to Kanto. She even attacks him with her Pokémon. Max is one of the most observant people I know, Brock told her. He'd know if something was up. What proof do you have that May attacked Ash with her Pokémon? My source had a picture. Can I meet him? Sure. Missy stood and walked to the door. She reached her hand out and called for Harley. Before long, the green-clad coordinator stepped into the room. You're here! Harley's very surprised, he said, eyeing Brock. It's nice to see you again, too, Harley. Brock smiled, mocking him. Huh? You two have met? Harley's a Pokemon coordinator from Hoenn. He's lost to May 4 times and beaten her once. He's got a grudge against her, Brock explained. And? Harley asked. That's something anyone with enough time can find out on the internet. I already know Harley, Brock, Misty told him. Why are you telling me about him? Harley would do anything to get back at May for humiliating him in the contest battles. That's a lie! Harley shouted. I want to bring her to justice! Brock turned to Misty. Having Ash and May tell all the secret details of the relationship is a pretty bizarre form of justice. How'd you know about that? That's not on the posters. Harley knew he had to act fast. He's trying to confuse you. He's probably doing this for Ash and May. He wants to protect their dirty secret. He's just worried about how all the girls will react to knowing he's been hanging out with some psycho. Brock ignored Harley's allegations. Why did you choose that way to punish them for losing? He asked Misty. When May tells everyone about the horrible thing she's done, it'll put her... Okay, this is written awkwardly. It'll put her face to face with a... It'll mark her for abuse. I guess that's kind of the closest... I don't know. I don't know how that was originally supposed to be written. No one else can be her victim for as long as she lives. What if I can prove that Ash's solar energy was caused by someone else? Brock asked her. Who else could have? Misty asked. Well, for one, I could have, and reasonably Max, too, he explained. You wouldn't have hurt Ash, would you? Misty asked, almost terrified of the answer. Of course not! Brock shut down her concerns. I'd never hurt Ash, and neither would May or Max. I don't know May as well as you do, Brock. Misty looked back at the picture of her with her friends. I'm not sure I can trust her. Then trust me, Misty. Brock looked into her cerulean eyes. I've been with May and Max for almost as long as Ash has been. They wouldn't knowingly harm each other. He's trying to deceive you, Harley declared. I bet he's already talking to Ash and May about it, and they fed him a story about how you're the bad one, Misty. Is it true? Misty looked into Brock's eyes. I did already speak with Ash and May, Brock confirmed their suspicion, dropping his arms back to his side. They told me their side of the story. Now I want to hear yours. I told you, Misty became defensive. I don't trust May. I haven't known her long enough to know what she'd do to my friends. Brock stood up. Oh, come off it, Misty, he shouted. You know as well as I do that you trust lots of different people that you've never met before as we went on our journeys together. Even if your personal experience with May is what makes you not trust her, then my saying that she can be trusted is usually enough. What makes May so different that you can't trust her? It's just... Misty felt her face begin to turn red. You're jealous of her, aren't you? Brock asked calmly. What? Misty jumped up. Me? Jealous of May? You're jealous that you weren't around when Ash started to become interested in girls, and now you want to ruin May so she can't get with him. Is that it? Maybe I am jealous, Misty snorted. I followed him around Kanto, the Orange Islands, and Johto, pining for him, and he never returned anything. Misty began to break down into tears. It's just so frustrating! I mean, I should be happy for him, but I just can't be. It's okay, Misty. Brock comforted her. He took her hand in his and rubbed the back of it. I'm sure you'll feel better about this later after you sit down and talk to Ash and May. Misty, are you gonna let them manipulate you into calling off the battle? Harley whispered in her ear. Are you gonna let May get away and continue to hurt Ash? No, I won't! Misty yanked her hand away from Brock. May will be brought to justice. She won't be able to hurt Ash or anyone else ever again. So you really are taking Harley's words above mine. Do you think that getting May out of the picture would make Ash come back to you? Maybe. Misty was at a loss for words. I can't believe you, Misty. Are you really going to drag the names of the Cerulean Gym in the mud just so you can have your choice in a guy? Get out. Misty spoke meekly. That's just petty, Brock finished, disdain in his voice. Get out! Misty roared. I'll have no one to speak badly about my gym, especially someone who can't keep their gym with a single type. If you want to side with May, then fine. I am jealous. I don't care anymore. If I can't have Ash... She quieted down and spoke under her breath. Then maybe no one should. Brock turned to the door. He opened it and turned back to Misty. I guarantee you, after all this is over, even with the smear campaign, and regardless of how the battle goes, if Ash and May want to be together, they will be. And they will both still want to be your friend, regardless of the mean things you may do right now. They'll forgive you, even of this. That's the kind of people Ash and May are. With that, he left the room, with a perplexed Misty flopping back on the couch, crying into the picture she held of her friends. Harley stood over her, placed his hand on her shoulders. Come on, hun. Harley talked with his friend. Let's go do something to cheer you. I knew that was going to happen when they got to Cerulean. You didn't expect to go this way, but you knew that it was going to be the cause. Yeah! Well, hey! Hey, you know what? You know what? Still. Meaningful conflict is the soul of drama, you know? You know? Yeah. Ash sat quietly, eating his ice cream bar. He sat beside May in the large booth. Beside the coordinator was her brother, who sat next to Rain, their daughter sitting across from Ash. Pikachu sat on the table, eating the ice cream sandwich that he had earned. And the Pokemon seemed content. Meanwhile, Ash thought about the current situation. He had never had his friends turn against him before. Part of him felt like it would be tough to get Misty to see things his way. Misty was one of his best friends. He knew he couldn't let her stay angry at him forever. He paused his thinking. Misty's not mad at me, he thought. She's mad at May. He looked over at the coordinator sitting next to him. She was licking her bowl clean, trying to get the last bit of fudge from her sundae. Ash smiled at her and chuckled. May noticed and looked at him, dab of fudge in her nose. She smiled, scribbled something on a piece of paper, then slid it to the waiting waiter. May smiled at Pikachu, who was enjoying his reward, and returned to cleaning the bowl with her tongue. May's such a nice person, Ash thought to himself. Why would Misty believe Harley over May? Just because Harley's feeding her jealousy, I bet. He felt a tug at his sleeve. Pikachu wanted her nose on a stranger's mind, apparently. Ash ate the rest of his ice cream off the stick, and placed it flat on the table. He looked at Pikachu's eyes. You know, don't you, buddy? He silently asked his Pokemon. Pikachu nodded and nuzzled against Ash's arm, trying to cheer him up. Is something up, Ash? May asked him, still not having realized that she had a dab of fudge in her nose. Ash looked up and broke out laughing. This confused Pikachu further and made May self-conscious. What is it? May asked, worried. There's something on my face, isn't there? There's a drop of fudge right on the tip of your nose, he chuckled, cheering up from his deep thoughts. Oh, well, since you noticed it, you can be the one to get off my face, May taunted the trainer. I bet Ash is gonna kiss May's nose, Cindy whispered to Max. Max snickered, but he was also waiting the outcome of the situation between his friend and his sister with bated breath. Ash stuttered, not sure how to get the fudge off May's face. Come on, Cindy called across from the cake. Just lick it off! Ash turned red as the other patrons of the restaurant began to stare. He then prayed silently for any way out of the situation. Thankfully, his most loyal partner had just the solution. Pikachu leapt up on May's face and began to lick the fudge off the end of her nose. May's reaction was one of surprise. She let out a shriek, then followed it up with, Ash, get your crazy Pokemon off me! Ash's reaction, however, was one more of anger over Pikachu's disobedience. The trainer pulled Pikachu off May's face and held up in the air in front of him so that only the Pokemon could see his expression. Pikachu, why did you do something crazy like that? Ash said angrily. But as Pikachu saw on his face, however, Ash was smiling and happy that the electric type had pulled him out of such a questionable situation. May yanked Pikachu out of Ash's hands. You've been a bad boy, Pikachu! She chastised him. Pikachu put on an embarrassed look on his face. She put the Pokemon's sensitive ear close to her mouth. I was trying to get Ash to do something, she whispered as quietly as she could, and you had to interrupt. She knew Pikachu could hear her. The mouse Pokemon looked at her, confused. May looked at him in the eyes. I know you saw Drew kiss me, she thought as loudly as she could. Not sure Pikachu could read her thoughts. I wanted to give Ash the chance to get as close as Drew did. Pikachu nodded, understanding the unsaid message the coordinator sent him. Pikachu replied back. And May understood, somehow, that there would be no further interruption from him. But she wasn't sure how she wasn't sure how she understood. By the way, I chose this song as a joke as well. For those of you who play Kingdom Hearts, you should know this song plays just about every time that Roxas, Shion, and Axel eat ice cream on the clock tower. And what is everyone doing now? It's perfect. The waiter drew attention to himself. The group, realizing that most of them were standing, sat down and faced the Pokemon that had addressed them. I'm glad you guys are having a good time, Meowth smiled, looking at Pikachu, something hidden in his eyes. We are, thanks a lot, Ash said to Meowth, missing anything not verbally said between the rival Pokemon. And here's the bill, Meowth announced, placing the bill and a small folded sheet of paper on the table in front of Ash. He pulled out his wallet and tipped the Pokemon, and silently passed the folded paper to May, who opened it and read it. Ash and his friends had been communicating with Team Rocket using this method of passing paper around while they ate. Meowth then took it to Jessie, who would scribble some words back, and then Meowth would give it to May, who would read it and reply. The twerps offered a simple proposition. Team Rocket would be their sparring partners for practice battles in return for the twerps keeping silent about their status as Team Rocket agents. No Pikachu catching would be permitted. Jessie and James would show up at Cindy's house, ready to battle at 11 o'clock tonight. May whispered a plan as she and Jessie had formulated via correspondence to the rest of the table. Ash nodded and walked to the counter, bill in hand. Jessie was working the register at that moment, as James was on his break. He placed the money in Jessie's hand, roughly clasping it. "Thank you," he said, squeezing her hand. "The pleasure is all ours," the red-haired woman said, a knowing smile on her face. May led the group back outdoors with Pikachu on her shoulder. "Come on, let's go find some more fun stuff to do," she cheered. "But May," Ash tried to dissuade her. "Come on, Ash," May again said, attempting to use her feminine charm to get the better of him. "I'm afraid I'm going to have to step in on this one," Rain told May. "It's getting close to Cindy's bedtime." "Aw, Mom!" Cindy whined. "I wanted to watch the practice battle." "You can, but right now we need to get back home," Cindy told her daughter. The older children agreed with Rain, and the five of them walked back to Cindy's house. The LCD on the VCR displayed 10:32 p.m., meaning that they still had a bit of time before Jessie and James would arrive for the practice battle. Ash and May decided that they would take this opportunity to watch the news, while Cindy took Max to her room to show him her Ash memorabilia. Both the traveling trainers sat on opposite ends of the couch as Ash flipped on the set with the remote. Tried to interview Peterborough gym leader Norman earlier today for this reaction to the events in Cerulean concerning his daughter, the news anchor on the television explained. The scene cut to outside the Peterborough gym earlier that day. The cameraman and the reporters sneaking behind to find a man with a brown shirt and black jeans sitting on a bench, a cool wet towel lying atop his neck. "Norman, sir!" the reporter leapt to him, pushing his microphone to the gym leader. "What is your comment on the situation in Cerulean concerning your daughter?" Norman put a scowl across his face and took the microphone into his hand. "My wife and I are going to Kanto to get the story from my daughter herself," he explained. "As for this," he noted the microphone. Norman flexed his powerful arm and crushed the microphone in his hand, causing the audio to disappear from the clip. Norman took the same hand and smashed the television camera with it, ending the scene. Ash gulped. "If Norman finds as much fault in me as there are in those reporters, I might not live to get my last frontier symbol." "Dad's always been like that," May sighed. "He's never really liked the publicity that comes with being a gym leader, so he tries to stay out of the spotlight as much as he can. Reporters know not to creep around our back door." She laughed at her last sentence, and Ash chuckled slightly as well. The scene on the television had changed again. This time, Ash knew the location all too well. The reporters knocked on the front door to Professor Oak's laboratory in Pallet Town. The door opened, and a man in his 60s stepped out. The lab coat he wore over his head, or over his red shirt and khaki pants, held various pens and notes. Even though he was old, the man still had energy inside him. However, his normally jovial expression was replaced with a grim disposition. "I think you should all run along," the professor told them. "Mrs. Ketchum isn't going to do any interviews until she speaks with her son." "Professor Oak," male reporter spoke up, "what is your comment on the situation?" "I don't know the situation well enough either, so we're taking my assistant with us and we're going to Cerulean," Oak explained. "As you know, I've never really been camera shy in the past. However, this event hits much closer to home, so to speak. I'd appreciate it from the journalistic community that they'd leave Mrs. Ketchum, my assistant, and me alone as we traveled. Thank you for your time." Oak bowed slightly and began to return indoors. "And tell your colleagues in Hoenn that attempting to talk to Norman is a bad idea." With that, the professor returned indoors and the swarm of reporters left. "Norman, Mom, Professor Tracy, they're all coming here?" Ash asked no one in particular. May fidgeted in her seat, thinking, "Dad's coming? Is he gonna get mad at me for trying to get a boyfriend while I was supposed to be on a Pokemon journey?" She glanced over at Ash, who was dwelling on the thoughts of his mother coming to town, and what she, the professor, and his watcher assistant would do when he told them about how he got hurt. "I hope Dad doesn't flip out and hurt Ash," she thought to herself. Upstairs, the two youngest occupants of the house looked around Cindy's room. "Wow, this is so cool!" Max smiled. "You got all this Ash stuff and even plush dolls of all his Pokemon." He looked over the dolls again. Well, almost all of them. He sighed. "What do you mean, almost all?" Cindy got stern. "What other Pokemon does he have?" "Well, for one, his Grovyle evolved into a Sceptile," Max told her, in a voice that let her know he was right. "And he also caught an Ipom at the Kanto Grand Festival." "Ipom?" Cindy raised an eyebrow. That's a rather weird Pokemon. It was so cool when Ash battled her, Max told her. Ipom was doing well against Pikachu until Pikachu let her have it with a Thunderbolt. Cindy moved to the small television that sat in the corner of her room, close to the door, while Max continued on about Ipom's battle with Pikachu. She blew the dust off an old VCR and stuck in a tape. The television came to life, displayed a logo. Orange Island's championship match, it said. This is an official recording of Ash's battle against the leader of the Orange Crew, Cindy squealed as she plopped herself in front of the television screen. Max sat down next to her, eager to see himself how the battle unfolded. Chapter 20, Conversation. The clock ticked down to 11, and sure enough, Jesse and James knocked on the door. The two were dressed in street clothes, leaving their rocket uniforms hidden at an undisclosed location. Jesse wore a pink long-sleeve cotton shirt and a pair of gray aerobic pants. James wore a button-up shirt and tie, with navy blue pants completing his official look. Meowth decided not to join them. Rather, the Scratch Cat Pokemon preferred to sleep during the night, a contradiction of the species' nocturnal nature. Ash and May made sure Corfish and Squirtle were feeling alright, and then went out to face the Rockets in this practice battle. Thank you guys for coming to help with our training, Ash told the Rockets as they prepared for battle outside of Cindy's house. We'll be glad to beat you, twerp, Jesse smirked. Well, we're not gonna make it easy for you, May chimed in. With all the ice cream you've been eating, you're gonna need to work off those calories, James taunted May. I am not getting fat, May roared. The shout echoed throughout the quiet city. Alright, this practice battle will have no limits on either side for Pokemon or time, Rain declared. Let the battle begin! Switching tabs, and I'm not using my mouse properly. Corfish, I choose you! Ash tossed his Pokeball into the air. Squirtle, take the stage! May threw hers as well. Dustox, go! Jesse said. James added his to the mix with Cacnea, let's go! Corfish once again tried to do a flip Drew recommended, but ended up on his face again. Squirtle performed his trademark entry easily, however. James Cacnea leapt back to hug him, but the rocket trainer pulled his grass type off his face and sent her back in the battle. Jesse's Pokeball revealed a bug and poison type moth Pokemon. Her yellow compound eyes matched her yellow antennae, a large pepper body and green wings intimidated the smaller Pokemon near her. Corfish, get in there with Bubble Beam, Ash ordered. Squirtle, add your bubbles, they told her Pokemon. Cacnea, pump those bubbles with Pin Missile! Dustox, help Cacnea with Poison Sting! As Corfish and Squirtle let the bubbles fly from their claws and mouth respectively, Cacnea and Dustox began shooting them down with pins. The combination attacks collided with each other, and with neither side taking any damage. Corfish, Vice Grip Dustox! Ash ordered. Corfish began to charge at the Pokemon. Dustox, knock it away with Psybeam! The psychic energy grew between Dustox's antennae and fired a beam at Corfish. Corfish, break off the attack! The Corfish type left out of the way of the attack as instructed and caused it to hit the ground harmlessly. Ash, Rain interrupted. One of the things you got to do in a contest is use your attacks to be a defense. How would I do that with stuff other than Harden? Ash gritted his teeth. Maybe deflecting attacks with Crabhammer, Rain said, trying to come up with something. Oh! Cindy chimed in, walking out the door with Max following closely behind. Like earlier today when you used Vice Grip to grab Absol's Iron Tail. Ash thought about that for a moment. Cacnea, use Pin Missile on that Corfish! Squirtle, use Rapid Spin to block the Pin Missiles and then take the fight to Cacnea! May looked to Rain, hoping she was following the advice the old coordinator had given Ash. Squirtle leapt in between Corfish and Cacnea and began to spin. The spinning motion deflected Cacnea's pins. The Squirtle continued to approach Cacnea while spinning. The tiny turtle Pokemon scored a hit on Cacnea, knocking the grass type over. Great work, May! Rain congratulated her. Thanks! That didn't look too hard, Ash thought to himself. Alright, Corfish, attack Dustox with Bubble Beam! Corfish fired the rainbow stream of bubbles at Jesse's Dustox. The bubbles knocked the bug and poison type to the ground. Get in there and Vice Grip her! Stop Corfish with Poison Sting! Jessie ordered her Pokemon. Use Crabhammer as a shield! Corfish held his glowing blue claw in front of him. The poison dart shot from Dustox bounced off the claw, and Corfish grabbed the moth Pokemon with his claw and threw it at Cacnea. Squirtle, freeze Dustox into a block of ice! Squirtle took a deep breath and shot ice beam at Dustox. The beam came into contact, trapping her in a large ice crystal. Cacnea tried to break the ice with her glowing needle arm, but it couldn't quite break the ice. The frozen Pokemon knocked Cacnea off her feet and onto the ground. You guys! Brock ran to the clearing. He looked over at the sides in the battle. Team Rocket! Are you trying to steal Pikachu again? The breeder reached for a Pokeball at his belt. No, you've got it all wrong! James said, trying to stop him. He's right, Brock, Ash said, turning to his friend. Team Rocket owes us, and they're helping us train for the coming battle with Misty and Harley. What? How do they owe you? Brock asked, confused. It's a long story, Jessie sighed. We'll let the twerps give you the details later. The Rocket gritted her teeth and growled at Ash and May. Are we gonna continue the battle, or can James and I leave? Gonna keep on battling, of course, Ash said, smiling. Just as soon as you get your Pokemon back in battling condition, we'll keep going, right, May? He looked at her, a spark in his eyes. He was fully enjoying himself in the battle with May as his partner. Apparently. Or clearly. May looked back at him. Her fire also reignited. From having lost the Grand Festival, she no longer had a goal, so having the battle later to look forward to, she nodded to her tag partner. Yeah, we're not gonna take a break until we're done! That's the spirit! Cindy cheered them on. I know you'll totally be able to eat Harley and Misty, Max assured them. The two trainers turned to Jessie and James. The Rocket stood, ready to continue. Given all the times you sent us blasting off, I know you'll be able to win. Jessie looked at him. She's right. Your Pikachu might be rare and powerful, but without a great trainer like you, he would have never gotten as powerful as he is now. James smiled at the trainers. Team Rocket. Ash was surprised at the sudden praise he was getting from even them. All right, let's get started again. I won't let you all down. Together, May and I will bring Misty back to her senses and defeat Harley. He motivated all the Pokemon and the trainers present. That speech. Go! The battler shouted, the recovered Pokemon again leaping into battle. This battle will continue throughout the night until the early hours of the morning, with attacks flying up from both sides. It was about 2 a.m. when the battlers decided to call it quits.
Oh boy, 2 a.m.
Squirtle and Corphish stood fatigued at their end of the field, while Cacnea and Wobbuffet stood, waiting for the next move. Jessie had already had to recall Dustox and Survivor by this time. Oh, excuse me. Ugh. Embarrassing her that she's been the only one requiring a Pokemon substitution. Corphish tumbled over onto his side, too worn out to continue. Squirtle had fallen asleep several times during the battle, but was woken up by May's calling or an attack from the Rocket Pokemon. May asked Ash if he thought it was time to call it a night. After the trainer saw how tired Corphish was, he agreed. They thanked the Rockets, who bowed respectfully, and turned to go back to where they were staying. You'll all be able to stay in here, Rain explained, leading them back into the living room. Cindy's snoring from the upper floor could be heard clearly. I take it most of us are going to have to sleep on the floor? Brock asked. Not at all, Rain told him. She turned to the couch and pulled it out, changing it into a bed. Ash sighed. I wish I'd known that last night, he sulked. If you all four sleep tightly together, you should be able to fit, Rain said. I think we can make it work, Brock said, surveying the couch-turned bed. Thank you for keeping us here, he added as Rain walked up the stairs. Think nothing of it, Brock, she said, smiling at him. She looked to the rest of the children in the living room, nodded them all a good night, and proceeded up the stairs to sleep herself. Brock used his sleeping bag to make a blanket for the group. The breeder chose to lay on one of the ends, with his longtime traveling partner next to him. The youngest child took the opposite end of the folded-out bed, and her sister took a place between her mentor and her brother. All of them had taken their shoes off, but lay there looking at the roof, fully clothed, with the exception of sweatshirts, hats, glasses, and gloves. I talked to Misty, Brock said after a while of everyone being silent. She won't even take my word that May's not been doing anything wrong. I wonder why she doesn't believe us, Ash said out loud. Maybe because you never told her about your injury, Brock explained. Max's interest was piqued. Injury? The boy sat up, looked over at Ash. What injury? Show him, Ash, Brock told him. Alright, Ash submitted. He sat up, began to pull his black shirt off. He felt his face flush slightly at the thought of May seeing him remove his shirt, but he was glad that only the moonlight and the dim LCD from the VCR were the only things lighting the room. May looked over to Ash's shoulders. Round scabs About the circumference of dines appeared on the boy's shoulders. It was apparent that he was healing, and the scab showed no sign of infection, yet even then, May couldn't stare at them too long. She blamed herself still for what happened on that day. She turned her head to face Max. Oh, jeez, Ash, what happened? Max was full of questions, it seemed. The boy reached to the coffee table and put on his glasses. When May and I were falling to the lake after we escaped the wheezing air mecha, Ash explained, I used Swallow to slow our descent. He had to grip hard, though, so he ended up hurting me. Ash looked up at the ceiling, picturing his loyal flying type. May sat up next to him, looking at the boy's face for answers. May and I both swallow our lives. So what if I got a little hurt? If that has helped me, and I might not have survived the fall at all. Max protectively grabbed onto his sister's arm. You don't mean you could have... You both could have... Ash turned to the boy and nodded. Swallow saved us. I don't mind that he hurt me. I'd rather be alive and hurt than not here at all. Besides, I know Swallow didn't mean to hurt me. He was just doing what I asked him to. Why don't we tell Misty that tomorrow? I suggested. We could get her to call off the battle and we could all be friends again. By this point, Max said, Misty will probably think that you two are just coming up with a story to get out of battling. You're right about that, Max, Rock said, lying back down. Misty's fueled by much more than concern over her friends. What do you mean? Ash asked. Rock faced only the ceiling as he spoke. Even though she wouldn't openly admit it, she's envious of May. What? Why me? May asked, looking past the topless trainer to her white friend. Part of Misty still wants to travel. She sees you as living the life she once did. She wants it back. She misses her friends a great deal. She sat over a picture of Ash, me, and her and kept looking at it as if she wanted to have that again. Well, Misty could travel with us if she wanted, Ash brought up. I mean, couldn't her sisters take care of the gym now that they're back? That's only one part of it, Ash, Rock told him. Misty's also jealous of the fact that you fell for May, even though Misty was with you for a very long time. Ash felt his face flush. He sat beneath the covers and hid his face from the girl next to him. He grumbled something to himself and turned to lie on his stomach. Come on, Ash, tell us, Rock pleaded. The reason that we're in this mess is because we wouldn't tell each other the full story. Ash begrudgingly flipped back over and stuck his head out from under the covers. It's not my fault that I didn't start to notice girls until this long, he said, defending himself. I guess I was always too focused on Pokemon to begin to notice. And how did you fall for my sister? Max asked him. Ash cleared his mind and began to think. Having us crushed out in the open allowed him to focus his energy on thinking about where it came from rather than hiding it. When I met May, she knew almost nothing about Pokemon. I became her teacher that day. I took it upon myself to teach this girl how to be a trainer. So the formerly mutually exclusive concepts of Pokemon and girls came together when you met May, right? Rock asked. Ash looked up at the girl who was staring at him with her deep sapphire eyes. He turned back away from her. Yeah, I guess that's how it happened. I mean, there used to be girls back in Pallet I thought were pretty cute until I started training to become a Pokemon master. My dream became more important than any relationship. But when I met May, they weren't that different anymore. I couldn't teach Misty anything, and normally when I tried to talk to her about something, she'd flip out and get mad at me. With May, I could teach her, and I became closer to her as we traveled more. I didn't know it was happening until it hit me. I had a crush on the girl I had been mentoring. It took me a while to come to grips with this. I had never felt this way before. It's the same feeling that I had when I would leave home to go to a new place. Part excitement, part nervousness. I was at the border into a broad new region, full of experiences that I'd never thought of before. He sat up and faced May. I'm sorry I never told you sooner. I didn't think that you'd ever stop traveling with me just as long as we keep on going to new places with new gyms and contest halls. I kept putting it off, but when Pikachu told me that Drew had talked to you, I could feel in my gut that he was going to take you away. I had to act, even though I knew that I wasn't ready to say anything yet. I was just following the advice Misty gave me, and I'll let you get in the way if I can help it. I guess it's a good thing you did, Mac laughed. Or you'd never had the chance to save my sister like you did. Well, if you didn't, he also wouldn't have ended up in this situation with Misty, Rock added. I guess that's right, Max sighed. May, did I upset you? Ash asked. You haven't said anything since I started to talk. No, it's just... May slipped down into the covers and looked at the ceiling. Love is so complicated, yet powerful, you know? Ash had a puzzled look on his face. What do you mean? You love every one of your Pokemon, Ash. Like they were your own brothers, sisters, and children. Your Pokemon respond to this love by battling with all their heart. Yet that's not the only kind of love. There's also the love you feel for your mother, and she shows back. A love that, even though you are separated by distance, is always strong. Your mother loves you very much, and that's why she allows you to travel, because she knows it's your dream. She then blushed a little and continued to talk. Then there's that special kind of love. A love that you have to share. You start to feel attached to a certain person, and you want to share that love with them. It's a special love that two people who never want to be separated share together. A love that oftentimes starts as a friendship and develops into something more. Did you hear that, Brock? May asked jokingly. If you want to get a girl to like you, you should try to be their friend first, not trying to swoon them with some over-the-top appeal. Hey, girls have to give credit to a guy who shows a lot of guts, don't they? Brock pouted. Ash May and Max all had a laugh at their love-lorn friends. Brock, on the other hand, curled up and grunted out a good night, returning to his world of dreams where he could get any girl he wanted. Ash, can I ask you something? Max looked at the experienced trainer. What is it? You know you can ask me anything. Well, are you and May gonna start kissing each other? A myriad of emotions that ran through Ash's head. At first, his subconscious clocked it with an "I hope so." Before the thought could reach his mouth, however, it had to pass through his conscious mind, which jumbled out the message into a kind of embarrassed babbling. Finally, his face, sensing the closeness of the issue and the en-routed response, intensified blood flow through his face. As the trainer began to make an excuse, his tongue got in the way of his lips and changed his excuse into a string of non-words. May, ignoring the strangeness of her friend's behavior, turned to her brother. Why would you ask something like that? I have a say too. May, it's obvious you like Ash, Max said. Again, places his glasses on the coffee table. The way you manipulated him at the ice cream parlor was evidence enough of that. He doesn't even know I've done that to him before. A stunned expression flashed across the coordinator's face, quickly being replaced with one of angry denial. I was just trying to convince him to get ice cream. You wanted some too. Yeah, but you acted all cute around him. Max glared at the space to the left of her sister. His vision wasn't what it used to be, especially without his glasses on. I thought I was gonna get sick, you were being so mushy. And then you tried to get him to kiss your nose. At that, Ash's brain had finally snapped, and the trainer again fell to his back. A half smile appeared across his face, with his eyes twitching in an almost unnatural way. The amount of blood being used to tint his cheeks red was reaching an unhealthy level. I was not! This wouldn't be the first time she tried to get Max to leave her alone by lying, but most of the time, Max would catch her lie and expose it. And unfortunately for her, this was one of those times. Oh, come on! You could have easily used a napkin to wipe your nose off. If Pikachu didn't freak out and eat that fudge, I probably would have puked when Ash would have had to kiss you. Hey, Pikachu was getting Ash out of an embarrassing situation, May defended the electric type. She shocked herself with this admission, somehow understanding Pikachu's motive without being told. She looked around. On that note, where is Pikachu? May looked over to Ash to see Pikachu leap on his trainer's stomach from his place near the door. Ash groaned loudly, snapping back into a cautious thought. He sat up and picked up Pikachu and hugged him, thanking his friend for waking him up from the delirium he was experiencing. Oh, Ashy! Max mimicked his sister's voice. I want to kiss you. I want you to kiss me all night long! And Ash went down again. Pikachu tickled his trainer's nose with his tail in an attempt to wake his friend again. Cut it out, Max! May blushed at her brother's taunting. Why do you keep treating Ash and me like a couple? I thought you were, Max said. Aren't you? No, I haven't chosen between Ash and Drew yet, May told him, her eyes looking down. From what I could tell, you have chosen, Max said, turning from his sister. I'm going to sleep now, too. Good night. May thought herself the only one left awake when Ash sneezed at Pikachu's attempt. The trainer sat up, again thanking Pikachu for his insistence to bring him back to reality. The Pokemon, knowing his services wouldn't be needed with Max asleep, returned to the floor to sleep near the door. Chapter 21, Celebrity. Pikachu needs some smelling salts. Yeah, smelling salt stocks are gonna be stonking. Stonks are looking good for smelling salts with it, in this timeline. Ash and May found themselves the only ones awake in the house. For a while, neither of them said anything, the tension in the air rising. Sorry, I had to drink something. Ash, I began, trying to break the silence. I'm sorry I put you on the spot like that in the ice cream parlor earlier tonight. It's alright, May, Ash said, smiling. If Pikachu didn't jump in there to help me, I'm not sure what would have happened. That's something I wanted to ask you about. May turned to her friend. For some reason, when I've been talking to Pikachu recently, it almost seems like he can read my mind, and I can understand what he says. Does this happen to you? Of course it does. Pikachu and I have been together for a long time now, so we have kind of a bond, lets us know what the other's thinking. Why is it happening to me? I haven't been with Pikachu as long as you have, so why can I understand him? It's got less to do with how much time you've been together, and more to do with what's in your heart, he explained. Pikachu and me have had this bond for a while, because we have the same heart or something. If you can understand Pikachu, then your heart must be lining up with his too. And by extension, he thought, my heart must be coming closer to Ash's. She looked down at the place on her body where her heart was. She placed a hand there and felt it beating. Steadily. It was not rapid, like when Drew had kissed her, but it was controlled, steady. She placed her other hand on top of the other one already on her chest and squeezed it. She had felt both happy and sad at the thought. She knew if that thing was going the right way, she and Ash could travel together as long as they would be able to. May also thought of Drew. Even with her growing feelings for the trainer, she still loved the coordinator. Parts of her wanted to stay with Ash, and others shouted for her to go with Drew. For the first time, May felt like the struggle for her affection was going to tear her asunder. She wrapped her arms around herself and began to shiver. She was afraid of what would happen if she made a decision. Whom would she hurt by choosing one or the other? Would some people condone a certain choice? Misty certainly wouldn't mind if I chose Drew, she thought. She remembered the friendship she used to share with the Cerulean gym leader before Harley took control. Would getting out of the battle be as easy as accepting Drew's proposal? May was afraid of that thought. She feared it was because it meant running away from her problems and running away from her friends. It meant showing Misty that she was right, even though May knew she was wrong. Are you alright, May? The passionate voice asked. May looked up, her eyes sad but not tearful, to the young man who addressed her. His auburn eyes were full of compassion and worry for her. On his shoulders, proof of how far he was willing to go to protect her. But most importantly, she could see his heart, a heart that overflowed with kindness, understanding, and love. Not just for his partners or his friends, but for everyone and everything he met. The kind of person like him was one in a million. No, once in a lifetime. Ash? May timidly asked her friend. This is all gonna end all right, isn't it? You could feel her eyes giving way to a stream of tears, but she fought them back. After this is over, we're all gonna still be friends, and we're gonna go to the battle pyramid, and you're gonna beat Brandon when your last symbol, right? The tears slowly worked their way down her face, dripping into her lap. Ash looked at the crying girl for a moment, taking in fully his protege's worry. Of course it's gonna be alright. We'll always be friends, May. He placed his hands on her shoulders, squeezing them a bit, trying to calm the coordinator down. After we get Misty back on her side and show her Harley's lies, everything will turn back to normal. What about you and Drew? May asked him, her eyes gazing into his. I'm not going to be able to dodge the subject forever. When I choose one of you, the other's bound to be heartbroken. Joe and I actually talked about this on our way to rescue you from Team Rocket, Ash said. We agreed not to hold a grudge if you picked the other, and even if we didn't, I'd still be your friend, even if you decided to follow Drew. May said nothing, only smiling at the boy she sat next to. So, do you know when you're going to choose one of us? Ash asked her. I mean, if you don't know when you're going to be able to, that's okay. He dropped his arms back down to his side. No, it's alright, he glumly stated. I know it's something on your mind. I just wish it wasn't such a big issue with everyone. Ash let out a short, quick laugh. I understand. If you don't feel anything for me, that's alright. I just hope we'd stick together a while longer. No, Ash, May interrupted him. It's not that I don't like you. The trainer looked at the girl. She realized what she just said, and now she had to go along with it. I really do like you. You're a great guy, and when I'm with you, I feel safe. But I also like Drew. He's a romantic, and I can't say I don't find that appealing. Well, I'm not a romantic, Ash smiled, and I have no intention of becoming one. That would be me trying to be someone I'm not. I'm glad, Ash. Because the last thing we need is more Drews around. They both snickered at the thought of a world overpopulated with dozens of the same coordinator. Thanks for comforting me, Ash. It really means a lot. It's alright, May. You know I'm always here if you need a shoulder to lean on. The trainer was surprised when the girl wrapped her arms around him, pulling tightly for a hug. He placed his arms around May in return, and the student and teacher held each other for a moment, feeling each other's warmth. May let out a chuckle. What's up, May? He asked his companion as he held her. I can feel your heartbeat, she whispered. Ash blushed when she felt his heart pounding against his chest in a steady rhythm. Well, Ash countered, I can feel you breathe. May smiled as she expanded her lungs again, making the boy's arms feel much tighter around her. We better be getting to sleep, Ash, she whispered in his ear. Alright, we're gonna need to do some more training tomorrow, he whispered back. The couple released each other from their embrace and looked sheepishly at each other's faces. They whispered a goodnight to each other and slipped under the covers to sleep among their friends and family. May felt the cool breeze blowing against her face. She looked around to find herself in a familiar field. Ash stood behind her, although he was much taller than she remembered. Looking across the field, she saw Drew and his Roselia. Brock stood at the sidelines, watching the battle, and she could barely make out her red bandana in the bushes behind him. You can't waste this opportunity, Pikachu! Thunderbolt him! May heard those words ringing in her ears. She looked down at her hands and feet, seeing the small yellow body of Ash's partner. She nodded at Ash and ran on all fours toward Roselia. May glared at the enemy Pokemon, sensing something familiar about him. She concentrated her hardest and launched a massive electric charge at the small grass type. She screamed with a familiar voice, but May couldn't put her finger on whose it was. Roselia shook off the thunderbolt as Drew shouted a command. Roselia, pedal dance! Roselia smiled a familiar, fiendish grin, spun around, and the pink petals flew at May. She tried to leap around the petals, but they came from too many directions at once, as she felt herself getting pushed back by the force of the attack. She felt the petals cutting against her sides, but felt no pain. She heard a loud thud as she hit the ground. Get up, Pikachu! I know you can do it, buddy! Ash called to her. She came to be standing on all fours and looked down at the field at Roselia. I remember this part, she thought. Pikachu, this is our shot! Take him out with a full tackle! May looked at Roselia for a moment longer. Even though she was afraid that she was going to run into another petal dance, she began running across the field as fast as she could. She could feel a build-up in her face. The power that her body contained began to rise to the surface as she ran down the field toward her adversary. Roselia, finish her off with Solar Beam! Roselia grinned as he held his rose-tipped hands into the air. She could see the energy he was collecting move into his grasp. No! I absolutely won't lose to you! May shouted, hearing her own voice come out of Pikachu's mouth. A golden sparking aura enveloped her. Her powers had taken on a visible form. She charged as quickly as she could at Roselia. Roselia, now! May leapt at Roselia, her body coursing with electric energy. Just before she connected, though, Roselia lowered his rose and shot a beam of energy straight into her face. May again felt no pain, but a sudden fatigue came over her as the beam flung her small body through the air. She tumbled across the ground and landed near Ash's feet. Pikachu is no longer able to battle, Brock called from the sidelines. Drew and Roselia are the winners! Serves you right, Roselia called to May using Harley's voice. You didn't think you could beat me, did you? Harley! May growled, but her body couldn't muster the strength to fight back. You're such a joke, May. Roselia walked over to her and kicked dirt into her eyes. May's vision went black. All she could do was hear. Pikachu, are you alright? Ash asked her, taking her into his gentle hands. Yeah, I feel so weak. We've already lost May, Ash told her. I'll take you back to the Pokemon Center, then we'll talk with Max and Brock about leaving without her. Why, Ash? May asked him from his arms. Why are you gonna give up on her? She obviously likes Drew more than me, Ash said, beginning to cry. He didn't let it affect his talking. He probably set up the battle to make a fool of me. No, I set up the battle, Ash! May said, trying to comfort him. Her small Pikachu arms tugged on his collar. Does that even matter? Ash asked her. If she's in love with Drew, then I shouldn't get in the way. It's what makes her happy that's important. I'm not in love with Drew! She shouted at him. You could feel her cheeks light up with involuntary sparks. And I won't be happy with him! You've gotta save me, Ash! It's too late for that. Tears continued to flow down his face. I battled for her and lost. It's not the outcome of any stupid battle that makes someone love someone else, May shouted again. No matter what the stakes, if two people love each other, then they'll rise above whatever losses they face and be better for it. Not even if we lose to Misty. May sprung awake to find herself the only one left in the bed. She looked around for signs of the rest of her traveling party. However, it was her own words from the dream that echoed through her thoughts. Did it really not matter if they beat Misty? All May would have to do was tell the truth about how she felt about Ash and the kinds of things they do together. She felt a smile quickly rise to her face, sat up and looked about the room. Not even Pikachu, whose post was at the door, remained in the room. She turned to the kitchen and heard something talking from it. She decided to get up and go see what the ruckus was about. This is the time. I know, right? I know the feels, man! Oh, wait, I was still looking at the The coordinator wandered into the kitchen to find Brock cooking while performing a spectacular show. He was fixing them a hash brown casserole dish using the shredded potatoes, eggs, and cheese and ham. As he flipped his creation into the air again, he looked for a chair to sit at. All the chairs that the house could pull together were assembled here. Ash sat at the head of the table, with Max and Cindy taking the spots closest to him. Rain sat beside her daughter, looking over her shoulder to watch Brock cook. May felt herself get angry at Max and Cindy for only a second, but then shook it off. Why should I get mad at them for sitting next to my Ash, she thought, sitting down. Wait, hold the phone. My Ash? Why was she taking ownership of the boy now? It's all so confusing. May thought to herself, sighing. She took a seat next to her brother and tried to follow the story Ash was telling the youngest children about. There was this other time that Jigglypuff met up with twin Igglybuffs that were going to perform in concert. She interrupted their performance and put us all to sleep again! Ash energetically told the admittedly boring story. May sighed, not caring what the boy was talking about anyway. She absentmindedly played with the fork placed near her plate and looked into her empty glass. She felt thirsty just looking at it. Speaking of which... This is an extreme thirst! Alright, where was I? Oh, here we go. As May stood up, Brock turned around and began placing the casserole on the plates of everyone who was waiting. May filled her glass with water from the sink and returned to her plate to begin eating. Brock, you do outdo yourself each and every time, May commented, taking another bite. This is great. You only say that because it's true. Brock jokingly smiled, taking a seat next to the coordinator. The talking had ceased. It was replaced by the sound of two wild Pokemon tearing apart their meal. Brock coughed loudly to get Ash and May to realize that they were making a scene. I don't need it. I don't need it. I need it! We both made a SpongeBob reference. I love it. They smiled, their mouths splattered with their breakfast. Ash and May started to eat at a slower pace than before. The messy eaters glanced over at each other, each thinking how adorable the other was just now. After cleaning her plate thoroughly for the second time, May thought it was time to go take a shower. She asked Cindy and Rain where her shower was, and Mother told her that it was down the hall from Cindy's room. She thanked the blue-haired woman and left the room to gather a change of clothes and head for the shower. Ash finished the second helping and left to go wait for May in the living room so they could continue their training. He and Pikachu sat on the couch after folding it back up, waiting for the girl to come back down the stairs. Just then, Ash heard a tiny rapping against the window. When he looked outside, he saw a yellow and red bird Pokemon flying outside the window. He recognized his Noctowl the moment he set eyes on him. Ash ran outside to greet his old friend. Noctowl? What are you doing here? I hope you don't mind that we brought it, the elderly professor commented, walking up to the boy and his Pikachu. It was the only way I could think of to find you in the city. Professor Oak! I saw on the news that you were coming. Ash! Ash! The boy felt his mother begin to smother him. She squeezed him tighter than he had ever felt before in his life. Mom! Ash choked out. Could you please stop killing me? Mrs. Ketchum slackened her grip. Sorry, Ash, he smiled. I was just worried about you. What What could have happened between you and Misty that would have her up in arms against you? I brought Noctowl's Pokeball for you, Ash. Another friend of his said, stepping out of the professor's shadow. He wore a red headband under his hair that was parted right down the middle. His familiar green shirt gave Ash comfort as he held the Pokeball for the trainer. Thanks, Tracy, Ash said, taking the ball from him. He turned to Noctowl, saying, You did great to find me, Noctowl. Your psychic powers must be coming along very well. Return. Just as he was about to recall his Johto flying type, Noctowl turned his head around, looking in the distance. Do you see something? Ash asked his Pokemon. Noctowl flew up and down the path when he came into contact with a butterfly Pokemon. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once and it's not working again. Her wings were colored with bright yellow, blue, and red. Her long, hose mouth instinctively shot a string at Ash's Noctowl. The owl Pokemon turned the attack back with his psychic powers, but the butterfly countered with the same ability, staring Ash's Noctowl in the sticky string. Noctowl! Ash called to it as it fell to the ground before a large man with short hair and a brown shirt. The trainer approached his fallen Pokemon, but stopped short when he recognized the man and the Pokemon he was traveling with. The man had a look of intense focus on his face. He glared at Ash, not recognizing him for where he was at first. The woman next to him, in her long orange dress, was the first to recognize the wandering trainer. She held a small pink Pokemon in her arms that seemed to be napping away. Ash? Is that you? Is that Ash? The man asked his wife. As the trainer came close to him, he remembered the boy under whose care he placed his children. Hello, Ash, the man ran into a mute word Noctowl lay. Norman? Ash gulped. The first images in his mind were Norman crushing the microphone and the nightmare where he decked the young trainer. It's been a long time, Ash, Norman said, smiling. Carolyn and I came in as soon as we heard there was trouble. That's cool, Ash said. I was afraid of how friendly the Pillowberg gym leader was acting towards him. Is that Noctowl yours? Yeah, Ash said, picking up his Pokemon. He tried to pull the string shot out of his wings. It's rare to see a Noctowl of that color. You were very lucky. Ew! The butterfly Pokemon called, motioning toward the top of the building. Oh, Beautifly! Is May in there? Carolyn asked the bug flying type. Yeah, she's probably still taking her shower. Ash! Tracy ran off the road to see the trainer conversing with the gym leader and his wife. Do you know these people? Oh yeah. Norman, this is Tracy. I met him when I traveled to the Orange Islands. Right now he's Professor Oak's assistant. That is a very notable position, Norman said thoughtfully. Tracy, Ash continued, these are Norman and Carolyn. They're May's parents from Petalburg City. Norman's the gym leader there. Oh, wow, Tracy exclaimed. That told me a lot about your Pokemon, Norman. Why don't we go inside and wait for May to come down, Norman asked. The group agreed, and they all wandered into the house to wait for the girl to get finished taking her shower. Oak had to pull Mrs. Ketchum along through the clothing store part into the living space in the back. Chapter 22, Collapse. Actually, I need to check the Honor Among Thieves. So still have not heard from Jimbo about Baldur's Gate, so I don't know what's actually happening. And it's actually at 4 right now. Actually, I don't know if it's actually starting. Yet. Yes, maybe we're doing Baldur's Gate tonight, possibly, depending on how Pika feels. But hey, anyway, chapter 22, Collapse. Yeah, he's probably still sleeping. Yeah, I do know this, actually. Yeah, we all know Jimbo has a sleep schedule that's even worse than mine. Which is saying something. Sorry, I had to switch tabs again. It's only 4 p.m. What do you... Yeah, only 4 p.m. Yeah, the wee hours of 4 p.m. in the morning. Anyway. Max was ecstatic to see his parents again. Rain offered to make some tea for them, to which all the newly arrived guests agreed. Norman and Carolyn sat on the couch next to Max, while Oak and Mrs. Ketchum sat in the wooden chairs that had been brought in from the kitchen. Cindy stepped out and immediately began to run over the famous professor, the one who gave Pikachu to her idol. Wow! Cindy was hopping up and down in front of the old man. I can't believe it's really Professor Oak! She smiled at the man, making him feel rather uncomfortable. You gotta tell me about Ash giving Ash this Pikachu. He's so awesome! I want to start with a Pikachu when I become a trainer! Cindy, Rain calmly said to you, don't pester our guests. But these are all the people Ash has come to rely on, Mom! Cindy whined. I may never have this chance to talk with all of them again! As Cindy continued her rounds into bothering Ash's mother, the boy himself waited for May to finish her shower upstairs. Are you done yet? Ash asked, his impatience growing. Why? May asked from the shower. Do you have to use the bathroom? No, I just thought you'd like to see your mom and dad. Mom and dad are here? May slammed the door open. Just zipped past Ash, ran down the stairs to find the living room chock full of people she knew. Mommy! Daddy! May smiled as she ran over to her parents. They both stood, and apparently she put all of her clothes on in like the span of like 30 frames or something. Like she put on her clothes frame 1 after him saying that. I guess. They both stood and gave their daughter a hug as a bewildered Ash fluttered down the stairs and sat on the ground near his mother. So, the usual, as you do. We're so glad to see you, honey. Carolyn smiled into her daughter's hair. The small pink Pokemon leapt up and began nuzzling May's leg, while Beautifly landed on May's green bandana for the first time. Skitty, Beautifly, it's nice to see you both as well. We were so worried about it when we heard that Cerulean gym leader challenged you to a battle, Norman said, holding his daughter close for a moment longer before letting her go. Yes, Ash. Oak then weighed in, sipping his tea. What happened between you and Missy to cause this falling out? Brooke began to enter the room from washing the dishes when Ash and May both shot him a look. He read their looks as best he could, and shot them back a disappointed glance and returned to the dishes. You see, Ash began, May and I got separated from Max and Brock by an attack by Team Rocket. We were lost in the woods for over a day before we found our way into the Cerulean City. He shot a nervous glance at Norman, afraid of what the powerful man would do, because he suspected foul play. After we got here, we visited Misty, May continued, and she was pretty nice the first time. The first time? Norman asked. Ash went shopping and got me this new bandana after my old one got torn up while we were lost, May continued. Ash felt his face flush as he glanced over at May's father. The man shot him a smile. That's very considerate of you, Ash. He was pleased with the trainer's actions, clearly. I'm glad May and Max has someone like you to watch out for them. Thanks, Norman, Ash smiled. After we got some ice cream, we came back to the Cerulean gym, and Misty wasn't herself. Harley, May's rival, told Misty a bunch of lies about May had been treating me badly, and Misty believed him and turned on us. That's when she challenged May to a battle. When Misty wouldn't listen to what I had to say, I also challenged her, putting May and me up against her and Drew. Harley. Ash said, blushing at the slip-up. I'll go over to the gym right now and straighten this up, Norman said, coming to his feet. Actually, Norman, Oak interrupted, I think that Ash and May should handle this one. Norman sat back down. Are you sure? With this Harley spreading lies and rumors? Oak nodded. This is their battle. There are times when even parents must step aside to allow their children to grow. Do you want me to stay out of the fighting? Norman asked May. A lump then rose in May's throat. She wanted to get out of the battle. She wanted everyone to be friends again. Would she tell her father that she wanted his help? Would she tell him that she was afraid? That she didn't want to fight anymore with her friends? Ash stood up and faced Norman before she could say anything. I think we'd do better if you don't get involved. May and I have been practicing for the coming battle, and we're getting good. He's a really great trainer, and I know that she'll make you proud. Ash really does believe in me, she thought. Can't let him down. I've got to fight too. Leave it to us, Daddy, May said, standing up herself. We can beat Misty and Harley. Norman smiled at his child, impressed with her courage. Very well then. I'll be cheering for you during the battle. Speaking of which, we need to get to training, Ash said to May. The girl nodded, bowed respectfully to her daughter, and she and Ash began to head outside. Ash? The trainer heard Tracy's voice behind him as he walked out the door. Can I speak to you in private for a sec? Sure, Tracy, Ash said, smiling to him. He then turned to May. You go ahead of me. I'll catch up with you after we train with Drew yet. I'll catch up to you where we trained with Drew yesterday. Gosh, I can't speak. Okay, May said, smiling back. Skitty and Beautifly chase after her, ready to be with their trainer again. Now, what is it, Tracy? Ash asked. It's actually kind of embarrassing, Tracy blushed. You gotta keep this under your belt, under your hat, okay? Sure. What is it? Well, Tracy continued to blush. I've been visiting Misty and her sisters up here for a while now. I come in every time, and Misty seems glad to see me. You know what I mean, right? Ash was drawing a blank. No. What I'm trying to say is... Tracy drew his face close to Ash's ear. Is that I like Misty. Yeah, I like Misty too. Ash, still confused, still completely missing the point. No, I mean, I really like her. Tracy told him, getting thoroughly annoyed with the boy's density. Oh! Finally, Ash had gotten it. Well, that's great, Tracy. Have you told her yet? Of course not. Tracy's blush thickened even more. I can tell she doesn't have the same feelings for me, and it's not great. What do you mean? I mean, I have to choose between a girl I like and one of my very best friends. How much do you like Misty? Ash asked his friend, concerned over his plight. I think about her every day. Tracy collapsed. I gave her a Zurul after she told me about how she felt lonely after she let Togepi go. I come up every time that she's called. I love her, Ash. Then go be with her, Tracy. Misty needs friends in her corner, too. But... Tracy's eyes began to water. But you won't be angry with me? I'll be siding against you. I'll be cheering for you to lose. It's all right, Tracy. When this is all over, we're all gonna be friends again. We'll get Harley's lies out in the open, and Misty will be our friend again. And if you really do love her, you gotta do everything you can to keep her. A friend of mine told me that once, and I followed her advice. Things are still going well for me. I can only hope that her advice will help you too. Tracy gave Ash a large hug. Thank you, Ash, he sniffed. You're a great friend. I'd have never met Misty if it wasn't for you. I'd never become Oak's assistant and realize my dream. I'd still be a nobody if you had never come along. It's all right, Tracy. You'd have become Oak's assistant anyway, even if you've never met me. You're an awesome Pokemon watcher. He then pulled away from his emotional friend. Now go to Misty. She needs her friends right now. With that, the watcher nodded and ran out the door to the Cerulean gym. Ash followed him out, but ran in an opposite direction to where May awaited him. Ash, read the room! The room can't stop him because he can't read! Well, no, he didn't read the room. He just, he needed clarification. You know? You know, as some people do, you know? Pikachu came up behind him and leapt onto his shoulder. When May wandered into the clearing, she gasped in surprise. Good morning, Drew said to her, as if he was waiting for her. Good morning, Drew. May looked at him inquisitively. What are you doing here? I wanted to apologize for blowing you off yesterday after our battle, he said, taking out a rose out from behind him and holding out for her, his head bowed. I'm sorry. Will you accept my heartfelt apology? May blushed and took the rose from him. Sure, she said, smiling into the rose. I came to help you train for the upcoming battle like I said I would. Drew looked into her sapphire eyes, and she looked back at him, feeling the conflicting feelings trapped and alluring. You mean, help Ash and me train? Drew brought his face closer to May's, and she could feel his breath on her lips. I guess I could if you wanted me to, he sweetly whispered. His lips drew closer to hers, and... May? The voice of her tag battle partner rang through the quiet air. May quickly pushed Drew back before he could make contact. Felt her face turn deep red. Everything became dark around her. May, are you there? The voice echoed. She faintly saw something coming out of the bushes. From the depths of her mind, she heard something. A chorus of voices. Some happy, others dissatisfied. The conflicting voices in her head rang out. Why did you push him back? Asked her lips. I wanted to feel his soft lips against mine. Drew was making moves on me, her brain fired back. He's trying to seduce me. But were you letting him? A part deep inside of her asked. I know you wanted to kiss him back. May felt like she was losing her mind. As her heartbeat quickened, she heard a voice spring up. So what if I did? I need love too. Mom has it. Rain has it. I need to feel wanted. At the Grand Festival, I felt so lost. I didn't have a goal anymore. I couldn't get on stage. I couldn't have people cheer me on. I lost that feeling of being loved. I want it somewhere, but I feel a loyalty somewhere inside of me. A loyalty that would let me be caught by him with another. So why am I worried about it? I haven't chosen yet. From what I can tell, you have chosen. The voice of her kid brother rang out in her mind. Have I really already mentally made a choice? For who? My teacher? The romantic? Both of them? Who? May, are you okay? Say something. She heard a voice calling to her. It sounded familiar, like he was worried. Someone she knew very well who was worried. Come on, May, get up! Another voice talked to her. The voice of someone close, yet distant. He sounded commanding. Someone who kept an air of superiority around. She opened her eyes, not realizing that she had fainted. Each of her sapphire eyes beheld a boy, each with a choice, a future. Whose would she choose? Thank goodness you're awake, May. Her friend let out a sigh of relief. I was worried when I found you unconscious here. I was unconscious? May furrowed her brow. I don't remember that. You fainted when you heard Ash calling for you, the charming emerald-eyed boy said, holding her hand. Why would I do that? That seems pretty weird. Anyway. Ash smiled, reaching out a hand for hers. I'm glad you're okay. Do you think you'll still be able to train? She shook his hand and pulled to her feet. Of course I am! You said you're gonna help us, right, Drew? That's what I said. But he then shot an intense glare at Ash, who wasn't really paying him a great deal of attention. Okay, who goes first? Ash asked him after taking his gaze off May's eyes. How about we do it in the same order as yesterday? Okay, that means I go first. Ash ran across the clearing so that there would be enough room for the battle. Pikachu leapt off Ash's shoulder and ran up to May. She took the small Pokemon in her arms and sat at the sidelines to watch. Are you ready? Drew asked him. Sure, Ash smiled back, intensity in his eyes. He reached to his belt and plucked off a Pokeball. Corphish, I choose you! Don't let him off the hook, Mochi. Well, I mean... At least he wasn't Josh and Drake and Josh, where, like, you know, like that one episode where it was like, where they thought that their dad was cheating on their mom and all that, and then like Drake was like, no, this isn't a problem, Josh. This isn't just any problem, Josh. This is a woman problem. Dad has cramps? Listen to me, Josh. I heard my dad speaking on the phone, and I think he's seeing another woman. See another woman do what? I think he's dating another woman! What? Dad can't be dating another woman! He's married to our mom! Yeah, like that episode. You know? So I think by comparison, Ash should get off the hook there a little bit. He at least caught on faster than Josh did. You know? Anyway. Ash tossed the Pokeball through the air, and it sprang open, revealing Corphish. The water type flipped forward, but before he crashed into the ground, he caught himself on his claws and sprung forward, landing on his feet, completing the somersault. Corphish! The roughened Pokemon grunted. Ash smiled at him before turning her to his student. Oh! Hi, Pika! Hi, Peebert! Hi! Hello! Oh? What are you doing here? What is this clip?
What the fuck do you mean?
Oh yeah!
They hit a 20, a 19, and a 47. What the fuck do you mean?
Oh yeah, I remember this clip. Thank you, Aiden, for doing a mod thing.
Anyway.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, when you got RNG screwed in Fire Emblem. I remember this clip. How are you doing, Pika? Hardly hit a 20, a 19, a 47 in a row! I know, right? It's stupid! That's like a 2.5% chance. Actually, doing the math, that is kind of like a 40. That's like a 2.5% chance. Actually, it's lower than that when you consider how like Fire Emblem actually does the calculations. It is BS for sure, absolutely. It's just as irritating as getting hit with a 1% chance to crit. You know what I mean? Which has happened. It's happened to everyone who's played Fire Emblem. It happened to me during the last Fire Emblem stream too, I believe, and I was like, you know, oh man, Pika, I need to seal that clip later. Maybe if that ever happens to me, I could just show that clip, and then you'll just be showing up the screen saying, "What the f do you mean?" Oh my god. Oh, I'm getting so many great ideas. Literally added 6 hours that I played through. Oh my god. You hate to see that. You hate to see that. Why? I have her permission? Yes! Okay. I'll have to remember to extract that later. Remind me to steal that from your channel later. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Make your favorite content. Yes, I need to evangelize. I need to spread your pain out to the world so they can see just how BS Fire Emblem can be. But anyway, yeah, we're reading more Pokemon stuff right now, and yeah, having a great time. And I didn't see anything else in on Honor Among Thieves, so I presume Jimbo is still asleep. Which means probably no Baldur's Gate until later, unfortunately. Because I know how your sleep schedule is. Stringer rolls brick that attempt to make you start over twice when you're in such a good position. Oh, you hate to see it. Your impression is growing over the fact that you're single. Join the club, Aiden. Join the club. No. But it's okay though. It's okay though. Because you're watching you know who as well, so you're getting in there. You're already making progress, my dude. You're making progress, my dude. You got this. Got this, my guy. All right, anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, I think I was here, I think. So it's not helping that you've got someone else's stream at the moment, so you're dying twice as much. Well, at least you have a good excuse. You're being distracted by cuteness. Well, actually, yes, you are being distracted by cuteness in 2 different ways. Because of this fic, and also because eyebrows. Yes, you're so cute, Aiden. Y'all are so cute. I love all of you. You're gonna hold out as long as you can tonight, but you don't know how long you'll last. Yeah, we gotta feed you like an Adderall IV drip or something. Something to just keep you awake. Yeah, Pika, help him! Corfish! The ruffian Pokemon grunted. Ash smiled at Corfish before turning to a student. Thanks for your help with that, May. He smiled at her. Drew's interest also piqued. No problem, Ash. Sometimes the student teaches the teacher, you know? She then gave him a wink at this remark. Don't have M's lip bite anymore. That would have been way funnier. Oh, you're so right. Oh, that is so right though. Oh, I love her lip bite emote. Oh, why couldn't you still have that? Oh, the lip bite emote. I love it. Oh. You should get that sub back, Pika. Get that Emmy sub back. Drew began to grind his teeth together. Go, Absol, he shouted. He chucked the ball, and as Absol appeared seconds later. I'll show him, Drew thought, with as much intensity as he could muster. He'll quit showing off to me when I clean his clock. Absol growled at Corfish, who flashed his pincers ready to fight. Oh, wait, I have to change tabs again. May sat there for a moment. Begin? Absol! Drew shouted. Use water pulse! Corfish, harden! Absol created a wave of water and sent it barreling at Corfish. The crustacean Pokemon shined green for a moment, and as the water pulse came over him, stood through it, completely unaffected. You'll have to try harder than that, Ash said, smiling. Absol blinded with flash! Absol let shine a brilliant light that caused Corfish to close his eyes to the intensity. Now Iron Tail! As Absol began to charge at Corfish, Ash and his blinded Pokemon stood still. When Absol was about 4 feet away, Ash shouted, Bubble Beam! Corfish, still unable to see, fired its multicolored bubbles at Absol, who took the attack head-on due to the proximity. Absol was pushed back toward a stunned Drew. How could you hit Absol if you couldn't see? Portia and I have a bond of trust, Ash marked. He knows that when I tell him to use Bubble Beam, he needs to use it. I'll show you how strong your bond is. Absol Razor Wind! Absol wound his head back and sliced through the air, sending a sharp blade through it at Corfish. Corfish sent it right back! Drew didn't understand the command before it was set into motion. Corfish stood still and blinked a few times as the Razor Wind approached. Before it came too close, Corfish leapt into the air, grabbed the Razor Wind with his pincer. Acting quickly, Corfish threw the volatile attack back into its origin. Taken by surprise, Absol took the attack head-on. The Archetype struggled to his feet and looked down at the field at Corfish. Corfish, now it's our turn to strike. Get in there with Crab Hammer! Corfish then began charging at Absol. Block it with Water Pulse! Absol used Water Pulse to create a pool of water around it, to serve as a shield. Plunge on through it, Corfish! He leapt into the Water Pulse and came out the other side above Absol. Now Crab Hammer! Absol Iron Tail! Both Pokemon flew against each other. Absol's glowing tail came into contact with Corfish's glowing claw. The attacks were at a standstill. Another Crab Hammer! Corfish's opposite claw began to glow, and it slammed on Absol's underside, knocking the air out of the disaster Pokemon. Absol plummeted to the ground as Corfish stood ready for more. May looked over at Absol. Drew, I don't think he can continue. Of course he can! Drew spat. Get up, Absol, so we can teach this Corfish a lesson! There we go with the vibe boost thing again. Listen, Ada, this is D&D, not Pokemon. That says, bro taught Absol Flash. Yeah, he did. He did. Well, paint me blue and slap my behind. Absol really can learn Water Pulse. Actually, yeah, I think that is true. Paint me blue and slap. Gosh dang it, Pikachu, I love that expression. Oh my god, we're learning new things about Pokemon, aren't we? Hey, we appreciate your fact checking though. But also, this is D&D, not Pokemon, so he probably use a scroll. He probably just use a scroll of Flash anyway. Well, if he did, he'd probably use a scroll of Water Pulse or something. He has copies. They can copy scrolls in this world, right? Probably, right? His Pokemon, Grunt, on the other hand, grunted, clearly struggling to stand up. Corfish, return! Ash called out, recalling his Pokemon. He walked over to Drew and Absol. Why did you recall Corfish? Drew angrily shouted. The battle wasn't over! Absol's hurt pretty bad. You need to take him to the Pokemon Center so he can rest. Drew grinded his teeth together again. He knew Ash was right. Begrudgingly, he recalled Absol, tried to put a cool look on his face. I guess whatever May taught you last night really paid off, huh? Ash smiled. Yeah, she's been a great help for getting me ready for the battle. I'll take Absol to the Pokemon Center now. Drew himself smiled at May, causing her to blush. I'll see you guys around. See you later, Drew! May waved to him as he walked off. She smiled at him, even though he couldn't see. Thank you for your help last night, May. Ash said, smiling at her. Your ideas for how to battle and contest work really well. I bet they'll even help me win my match against Brandon. May blushed at the praise that she was receiving. You're welcome, Ash. Glad I could help. Her face switched from a smile to her face switched from a smile to a curious look. Did I really faint before, Ash? When I came through the bushes, I saw you lying on the ground, out cold. Joe was standing above you, so I watched over to try to wake you up. I asked Joe what happened to you, and he said after you heard me calling behind the bushes, you fainted. Ash turned a bit grim. I was worried that he'd done something to you. You feeling okay? May nodded. I'm alright, Ash. She tried to dispel his worry. I remember seeing you come out of the bushes before I lost consciousness. That's good. I was worried that I was gone for too long and something bad might have happened. Well, since Drew's gone to the Pokemon Center, do you want to have a practice battle with me? May shyly smiled at Ash. Ash was caught off guard and began to blush. Okay, sure. But we better not battle too hard or else we won't be at 100% for tomorrow. That's true. She placed her hand to her thin thoughtfully. Hey, how about you and IPOM? How about you use IPOM and I use Squirtle? That way Corfish doesn't get too tired out from battling twice in a row. She smiled at her idea as she brought it up. Sounds like a great idea. He pulled IPOM's Pokeball out. After thinking for a moment, he pulled out Corfish's Pokeball too. He laughed as he tossed both of them into the air, causing the long-tailed and ruffian Pokemon to appear. Ash leaned down to Corfish and said, now pay attention to May and Squirtle. Learn how to attack and you'll be a better teammate. Car! Ash's water type nodded. He and Pikachu sat on the sidelines as Ash and May got ready for their battle. It cannot, however, learn Razor Wind. Use the Squirtle Razor Wind. Smile. Yeah, he's lost it by Scarlet and Violet. Okay, if he had it previously, he's lost it by Scarlet and Violet, which is interesting. But yeah, this is technically Gen 3 / somewhat Gen 4. It's like a transitionary period between Gen 3 and 4. So I guess things were different. The physical special split didn't even exist. Yeah, so yeah, this came out in 2006, by the way. This fanfic is nearly 19 years old. Oh my god, why am I doing math today? I don't want to do math today. My goodness. Why did they get rid of it in Gen 9? Gosh dang it, Gen 9! Yeah, can you believe how many Pokemon generations have happened since this fic came out? Like, Gen 4 wasn't even released in the US yet. Crazy. Anyway. Chapter 23. Caught. Oh, wait, I have to put up the stuff here. And bring up the right tab. Oh, and hey, time for a song that, I think, is going to be, like, extremely appropriate for the story. Are you ready, May? Ash smiled across the battlefield at his opponent. Don't go easy on me just because you like me, Ashy, May taunted him, winking. I had no intention. He grinned back, blushing only slightly. You ready, IPOM? IPOM bounced expectantly on her tail, ready for battle. Alright. Squirtle, take the stage! May tossed his ball into the air. Squirtle appeared, performing his entrance perfectly. I'll go first, if you don't mind. Ladies first and all. Squirtle, tackle! Squirtle then leapt headfirst towards Ipom. Ipom, catch Squirtle with your tail! Ipom extended her tail forward as instructed, ready to catch Squirtle like a baseball. Mess him up with Rapid Spin! At that, Squirtle pulled himself into a shell and began to spin at a high speed. Ipom still tried to catch him, but friction caused by the spinning burned her tail. She leapt up and down, holding the end of it in her clumsy hands. Ipom, are you alright? The normal type nodded, and would definitely try to continue the battle. Alright, Ipom, you swift! Ipom leapt in the air and swung her tail, causing star-shaped rays to fly at Squirtle. Withdraw! Squirtle obeyed, and was safely inside his shell before the stars hit. Now water gun! Only Squirtle's head came out of the shell this time, and he fired a powerful spray of water at Ipom. Double team! Ipom split into 3 copies of herself, and the water flew through one, dispelling it. The monkey Pokemon continued to double team, surrounding Squirtle. Squirtle, blanket the field in bubble! Squirtle stood up and fired a large quantity of bubbles into the air. One by one, they all began to falling to Earth, each snapping near an Ipom. And eventually, all the Ipom had disappeared from view. Where'd she go? They glanced around frantically. Toss Squirtle into the air! Ash cried out. Ipom leapt out of the bushes behind Squirtle and used her tail to grab the Pokemon. A hint of pain on her face, she spun around and threw Squirtle into the air with a spin. The Kanto water type couldn't control his trajectory and withdrew into his shell in fear. Be brave, Squirtle! They called out. Squirtle came out of his shell, but he was already plummeting to Earth. Soften the landing with water gun! Not if I can help it! Ash smiled deviously. Ipom, focus punch! Ipom wound up her tail as a glow enveloped it. And as she swung at May's Pokemon, however, the glow dissipated, and Ipom's tail made an audible crack against Squirtle's shell. The normal type winced in pain as her tail recoiled. She landed back on the ground, holding her tail protectively. Squirtle landed with a smile on his face as he was still battle ready. Ipom, what's wrong? I'll tell you, Ash. May smirked at him. When Ipom grabbed Squirtle early on, her tail got injured. Since nearly all of her attacks come from that tail, the power of her attacks is cut in half, and she couldn't maintain the focus needed for Focus Punch. Yeah, that is what the burn status condition does. I'm speaking out of character here. Ash looked at May, kind of disbelief on his face. Oh, dang it! My keyboard combinations suck when I'm, like, writing here. Gosh dang it. Ash looked at May, kind of disbelief on his face. He shook it off and replaced it with an immense pride. Ipom, return, he called, allowing the Pokemon, the normal type, to rest. You win, May. Really? May was surprised. Icon could have continued. Ash shook his head. No, with her tail burned like that, she would be able to keep up the pace, especially with Squirrel keeping the pressure on her, like she did. That bubble attack you did to counter double team was awesome! You really think so? Gosh dang it, I hate switching songs so frequently. This is why the pacing needs to be better, so it's like I don't have to change as much, and I'd have a little bit more time. Gosh dang it. Yeah. You really think so? May blush. She ran her fingers through her hair, looking at Ash's auburn eyes. Yeah. Ash said, his eyes caught in May's gaze. He felt his heartbeat quicken as May stepped closer to him, her eyes never leaving his. Although I am glad that I chose all this music from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. It makes it easier, so I don't have to keep switching tabs at least. Ugh. Ash could feel the blood vessels in his face fill up, turning him many shades more crimson. That's very sweet of you. She blushed as well, placing her glove on his cheek. She could feel the warmth that had spread across his face, but Ash couldn't tell what was compelling him, but he felt his face being drawn into hers. His eyes widened with anticipation as May closed hers and puckered her lips. Colorfish! Ash's water type coughed loudly, destroying the romantic moment the two were sharing together. Both of them blushed a few shades darker, realizing that they still had an audience. They stepped away from each other and looked in each other's face for answers. Ash, are you okay? She could feel her heart beat through her body. The only thing to leave Ash's mouth was a string of babble. May could make out the word kiss among the garble, but the embarrassed boy turned away from May and hid his eyes under the rim of his hat. She could see him shaking. She bit her bottom lip. Oh, okay, there's the lip bite. Use the lip bite if you get the thing. Anyone who has M's lip bite, use it. She bit her bottom lip, trying to curb her anger against Corfish for interrupting her kiss with Ash. What's going on over here? They heard someone shout. They turned to see Brock climbing out of the bushes, followed by the grand procession of everyone who had been in the Rain's house that morning. Max and Cindy, however, were notably absent. We were just having some practice, right, Ash? May then looked over to her mentor for support. Ash, still unable to form words, pointing towards Pikachu, who nodded on his trainer's behalf. Corfish went. Yeah, he did read the room. That's the thing. That's why he coughed. It's like, hey, I'm still here. I'm still here. The only thing to leave Ash's mouth. Oh no, wait, I already. I lost my place again. Gosh dang it. We came to find out if you know where Tracy went. Folks spoke up from the crowd of adults. Tracy went to the Cerulean gym, Ash said, regaining control over himself. He wanted to ask Missy what was wrong himself. I see, the wise man said. I don't think I should get involved with that then, he said, shooting a knowing glance at Ash. So, how did practice go? Delia walked over to her son, looking with his eyes while a bright smile danced across her face. It went well. May did a great job in her battle against me. You could almost feel his mother reading his thoughts. If there's anything you want to ask me about, she said after probing her son's eyes for a moment. Go ahead, okay, honey? She stood up and walked back over the group of adults. Are you too hungry? Rain asked them. We were getting everyone together for lunch. We'll be ready just as soon as we find Cindy and Max. No, we're not hungry, May said, blushing. Carolyn ran over to her daughter and placed her palm against her daughter's forehead. Are you feeling alright, May? Never turned down food before. It's nothing. May averted her gaze. She knew that she had just given her secret away to her mother. I can't hide it from her. I'll just figure out these things. Carolyn looked over at Ash, who had recalled Corfish and was chatting with Professor Norman and his mother. Her eyes met May's again, being greeted by the girl's blushes. Really? She asked. Yeah. May looked at her feet. Her Squirtle had walked over her, trying to comfort her from her feet. Don't tell Daddy, she quietly pleaded. Send me with Ash to become a good trainer, not to get a boyfriend. All right, Carolyn whispered back to her daughter, but your father will know eventually. I'm not even sure if Ash is the one, May sighed, thinking about her predicament. Oh, now I have to switch tabs again. There's more than one? Carolyn shouted, dragging everyone's attention over to her daughter. Yeah, May said loudly, trying to play down the situation. There are so many great places to eat here, I can't pick between them! She shot her mother a look that said, Don't embarrass me like that, Mom! You know what, May? That sounds wonderful, Carolyn smiled back at her daughter. Norman, why don't we leave the children to their training to go have lunch somewhere in town? Norman turned to his new friends. Sure, why not? Do you guys want to join us? Thanks for the offer, Norman, but I think I'll stick around with Ash and May, Rock said with a smile. I'm more used to their company anyway. Fair enough. Norman smiled at the breeder, but you'll be coming with us, right, Rain? Well, I have to fix something for Cindy, Rain said, starting to back up, overwhelmed by the friendliness of the foreign gym leader. I won't take no for an answer, Norman said, pushing her along. It'll be a treat from Carolyn and me. Thanking you for housing our children for the last few days. But Cindy... Brock can handle it, Norman said, smiling as Oak and Mrs. Ketchum followed behind him. Now you two be good to Cindy, Carolyn said to May, using her eyes to say, we'll talk more about this later. We will, May sighed, hoping to get off the hook. Ash stood next to May as they watched the adults walk the view towards for Cerulean find a restaurant to have lunch in. Wait, I'm losing my place. What's going on? Also, my nose is itching and I don't know why. Gosh dang it. He could have... No. He read the room. He knew what was up. He just chose not to turn around. Because he knew they were having a moment. He just wanted to kill it. He did that on purpose. Okay. Ash stood next to May as they watched the adults walk from view towards Cerulean to find a restaurant to have lunch at. That was weird, Ash said to himself. He added, whispering into May's ear. I hope no one saw what was going on. Yeah, May agreed. It'd be pretty embarrassing if someone saw almost, you know, The coordinator blushed, thinking about Ash's lips pressed against hers. She was charmed for her fantasy a moment later. So, what were you two about to do before all the grown-ups showed up? The voice of her younger brother cut out from behind the bushes. Max stepped out behind the trainers with Cindy close behind. The boy glared at his sister with an "I told you so" look. What do they mean? Brock asked. Ash and May both turned bright red. Pikachu leapt on his trainer's head, trying to show support for the companions. We saw Ash and May about to kiss! Cindy shouted, right before Corphish saw us sneaking up. May made a note to thank Corphish later. Nothing was happening, Max. May played down the situation. Ash and I were just talking. And about to start sucking each other's faces off, he taunted. I hope some girl doesn't warp my mind and start getting me to act all goofy and stuff. Are you being such a jerk, Max? May picked up her brother by his shirt, lifting him off the ground. Love isn't as bad as you make it out to be. I feel bad for the first girl who likes you. So who do you love if you know it so well? Max sneered, once again trapping May in the proverbial corner. What he didn't predict was Ash's defense. Max, cool it. If May tells you something, you should be a good brother and believe her. And May's boyfriend leaps to her rescue, Max retorted. When Dad catches wind of you wanting to play kissy face with May, he's gonna let you have it, so I'd keep it quiet if I were you. Ash and May stopped and turned red slightly. She dropped her brother to the ground and turned away. Ash, for his part, also averted his gaze. I mean, that's why you want to be busy, right? So Dad doesn't force us to leave Ash, right? It doesn't matter what Dash wants, Max, May told him sharply. We're going to fight to bring Misky back to reality. The only thing we're doing this is because she's still our friend and we don't want her to be angry at us. May composed herself and looked down her nose at her brother. Besides, if I wanted to travel with Ash, I wouldn't even let Dad stop me. Max gasped at his sister's remark. You think you'd get away from Dad? He'd tear Ash apart and tie you to the gym! Maybe I'd battle him for my freedom. Don't make me laugh, Max snickered, seeing her turning her nose up at him. You think you could beat Dad? I think she could, Ash said, stepping in. May's made a lot of progress as a trainer. She even beat Drew for once. With a little extra training, May could beat his 3 gym Pokemon with a combination of Combuskin, Munchlax, and either Bulbasaur or Beautifly. I don't know what's worse, Max said, pushing up his glasses. The fact that May thinks she stands a chance, or that you think she could? Hey, if Ash says she can, then I bet she could, Cindy said, leaping in. 3 against 1, Max, May smirked. Democracy wins again. Max let out a groan. Hey, can we stop the fighting? Brock stepped in, trying to get them to stop. How about you go back to the house and I fix some lunch? Sounds good to me, Ash sighed. I'm hungry. So am I. What's on the menu now, Brock? May asked him, looking for a good meal. We're not even at the door yet, much less the kitchen. And decide when we arrive. Brock was glad the fighting was over. Ash and Brock walked to the head of the group with May, Max, and Cindy trailing a bit behind. Pikachu had decided to lay on May's head and join the girl's bandana. Brock walked next to the Electric-type's trainer and whispered into his ear. Did you really try to kiss May? Ash blushed and pulled down the brim of his hat over his eyes. It's not like that, Brock. Then what? Max and Cindy wouldn't get on your case for nothing. I was just talking to May about her battle. Suddenly I felt like I had to get closer and closer to her, and before I knew it, we were 2 inches apart. That, Ash, is what love is all about. Ah!
Return to switch to H&R Block online.
Skip ads forever. I want to skip you forever. Approve on your method. Alright, that's not an improvement. Throgdor strikes again. No, man, I do not want to give YouTube money for a solution to a problem that they themselves invented. I'd rather use an ad blocker. Not sure how long I plan on streaming, but if you end up finishing before Baldur's Gate, we can do some Kingdom Hearts. True. Actually. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. You know what? That's a good idea, Pika. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to finish reading this chapter, and then after I'm done reading the next chapter, then we'll call it. You gonna join the Discord if you guys do that? Yes! Please do, Aiden. We want you there. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, so I'll finish this chapter and then read the next one, and then I'll end stream there. Man, we were doing this for like 3.5 hours. Well, technically 3 hours, because I did kind of start. I did kind of, like, stall. Most people get premium to avoid ads. I get premium to be able to turn my phone screen off and still listen to something. We are not the same. Exactly. 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 Wait, so where was I? I think I lost my place because I actually moved to the next chapter, which kind of made me lose my place. I was just talking to May about her battle, Ash explained. And suddenly I felt like I had to get closer and closer to her, and before I knew it, we were 2 inches apart. That, Ash, is what love is all about. You said you loved May, right? Yeah, but I didn't think I'd be so... Ash took a moment searching for the right word. Weird, you know? When I'm alone with her, I just can't seem to take my eyes or mind off of her. When we battled, I could focus on that, but afterward, I just lost it. I wouldn't worry about that. Brock chuckled and patted him on the back. This is all new for you. Later, when you become more comfortable around May, this'll all be easier. I used to be comfortable before I told May, he sighed. Maybe I never should have told her. Don't talk like that, Ash, Brock said sternly. If you really love her, then you have to do whatever you can to make sure she stays with you. I've heard that advice before. Thanks, Brock. I'm gonna go talk to May now. The trainer slowed his walking pace to end up closer to the coordinator. Brock stayed in the front and smiled at himself. Misty must have told him the same thing I told her so long ago. So, what are you all talking about over here? Ash asked, slipping into the group next to May. We're trying to figure out what we want for lunch, Cindy told her idol. I'm not sure what I want yet. Well, I have a major ramen craving. Actually, that does sound pretty good. I just can't seem to get enough of it. You always eat ramen, May, Max accused. I want a hamburger, something I can really chew on. Not that ramen stuff. I mean, it's just noodles and flavor. Well, I happen to like ramen, Max, May snapped. It's one of my favorite foods. I happen to like noodles and flavor, and most of the time you get to get me putting it too. Not that instant stuff you always get Brock to make. Max pushed his glasses up to his face. That's just noodles and flavor. May turned to Ash, staring into him with her sparkling sapphire eyes. What do you want, Ash? She asked him, trying to persuade him with her charms. Do you want double burgers with Max, or do you want nice hot ramen with me? Ash felt his face change colors. Took a step back from the group and pulled his hat over his eyes. As nice as that sounds, May, I was thinking about having rice balls. That sounds great! Cindy jumped up. Let's go have some rice balls! I really was hoping Cindy wouldn't take my side like that. Ash thought to himself, sighing. He looked over at May's face to see a look of annoyance coming over it. Maybe Brock will make whatever we want if we ask him nicely enough. The trainer tried to return the smile to May's face. And you can have your ramen, Max can have his burger, and Sydney and I can eat rice balls. I would be glad to fix whatever you all want, Brock said, smiling as he joined the conversation. But remember that your Pokemon need to eat too. We'll need them to let them all out of their Pokeballs. I guess you're right, May smiled, cutely knocking her knuckles against her head. I just plain all forgot. So did I. And Ash said, and I'm supposed to be the responsible one. Pikachu, Max, and Cindy all had a good laugh at their friend's expense. The trainers finally came to Cindy's house, and Brock went straight into the kitchen to cook. He expertly began to prepare all 3 meals. He himself decided to have a burger with Max, incidentally. Ash and the rest of his friends, however, went outside to feed their Pokemon. Oh, thank you for the follow, Zahira. Hi. Rice ball's more like jelly donuts. You right. So on U-turns, you watch to get paid, though, so you'll like to not act loud. You know what? Aiden, you are a much more ethical human being than I am. Much more ethical. Yeah. I'm outing myself as someone who is unethical, I guess. Anyway. Thank you for the follow, Zira. I appreciate it. Alright, everyone, come on out! He called, tossing his 5 Pokeballs into the air. Let's eat some lunch! May shouted herself, lobbing her 6 into the air. Max followed suit, tossing his and Brock's 3 Pokeballs into the air. Well, not his, but Brock's. He doesn't have Pokemon yet, he's not a trainer. All the Pokeballs opened, bringing out a total of 14 Pokemon, who were joined by Pikachu. From Brock's Pokeballs came a small tree-shaped Pokemon, larger blue Pokemon with large orange gills and small orange eyes, and a round reddish-colored bagworm Pokemon. The Pokemon's voices ran out in a chorus, with Ipom holding her tail, still injured from the battle. Feeling guilty, May Squirtle walked over to her and tried to apologize. The normal type seemed to accept the apology, but still looked at her tail protectively. Is that your Pokemon? Cindy leapt up at the sight of his fully evolved grass type. It's so majestic! What's he called? Here, see for yourself. May brought out her yellow Pokedex and flipped it open, pointing it at the large reptilian. The Pokedex whirred for a moment, then clicked. A picture of Sceptile appeared on the screen. Sceptile, the forest Pokemon, the Pokedex pre-recorded voice dictated. Sceptile is the evolved form of Grovyle. In the jungle, its power is without equal. This Pokemon carefully grows plants and trees. It regulates its body temperature by basking in sunlight. That's so cool! Cindy leapt up to the grass type, flinging herself around his neck. This is the coolest Pokemon ever! Sceptile, however, was less accepting of this title and removed the small girl from his neck and sat her down. The girl caught sight of Ipom and ran over and picked up the small Pokemon. Aw, it's so cute! There's just so many cute Pokemon, she squealed as she hugged the normal type. May sighed. Does that mean none of mine are cute? She looked over at her 6 Pokemon. I think Eevee and Skitty are cute. Combusken's cool too, but in a tough kind of way. Squirtle's cute, but Beautifly's got a kind of radiance about her, and Munchlax. She looked around for the rogue Pokemon. Where's Munchlax? There he is! Sure enough, the big eater Pokemon had wandered up the street and was walking into the woods. Do you want me to help get him back? Ash asked. No, I'll get him back, May said, turning back to him. Just keep my Adaman warm, okay? She winked at him. Get back here, Munchlax! She called to her Pokemon before storming off. The normal type turned his head, seeing her chase behind him, and quickened his gait. He dove into the bushes at the edge of the forest and scurried off. May followed him in and began to look around the forest. You could hear the sound of a waterfall faintly in the distance. She also smelled a sweet-smelling scent. Munchlax probably caught wind of it back there and was wandering off to investigate, she thought to herself. She began walking towards the scent, following it. It smelled exquisite. A scent this powerfully alluring would take lots of hard work to create. May found herself following a river as she followed Munchlax. She knew her Pokemon would go to this wonderful smell and see if there was a wonderful food at the end of it. She heard the sound of the waterfall come closer as she and her starter walked up the river. Hey, cutie, are you hungry? She heard a voice ask. The voice was familiar. May shook her head. No, it couldn't be. Not out here. Munch! May's Pokemon claimed affirmatively. I'm close now, May thought, stepping through a line of bushes. May stepped out from the bushes to find Munchlax with someone else. Oh no, May gasped, placing her hands over her mouth. Hand-feeding her Pokemon a piece of fried chicken was none other than the Cerulean gym leader herself. Oh, you've been lurking for a while. Imagine my surprise when I'm scrolling through Twitch and I suddenly see an old Pokemon fanfic that you read once when you were 10. You read this? Way back when you were 10 years old? Yo! Crazy! Absolutely crazy! Wow, one of us, man! Another fan! Crazy! Dang! Well, welcome aboard! Welcome aboard, mate. I'm glad to see that there are still people out there on the internet still lurking around who have seen, who have consumed this. This is the biggest double take when you saw the title. I thought, is that what I think it is? Oh, yeah, you shut your mouth. No, it's open. This is not exactly what you think it is. Yeah, this is like, but yeah, like, this is one of the most important advanced shipping fix ever, you know? It was quite, you know, formative for me with my writing, and it even culminated to the point where I ended up finishing the sequel myself. So, you know, part of this is kind of just a ploy to also, like, get me to read that when I get to it, but, like, but still, this is important stuff. It's important. I also consumed it. He did the whole thing. Plate was clean. Gosh dang it, Pika. Gosh dang it, Pika. Don't you have, like, don't you still have missions from Shang or something? Well, okay, well, before that happens, there's still gonna be one more chapter that I'm gonna be reading today, because I've been at this for about 3 hours. Who else but Pika? I don't know. I don't know, man. Not until you get there. Yes, exactly. But I will get there. Once we read chapter 24, Cascade. Man, honestly, absolutely crazy. That's all. It's just browsing through Twitch. It's like, wait a minute. That title, is that what I think it is? I don't know. Honestly, that made my day. This has made my day. Even more than everything else already. Absolutely nuts. Okay, but anyway, chapter 24, Cascade. What are you doing? What are you doing here? The red-haired gym leader shouted at May when she looked up from Munchlax. I came to get my Pokemon, that's what, May shouted back. Munchlax, come over here. Mach! The giddy Pokemon smiled after swallowing the food Misty fed him. He waddled back from the pink blanket Misty and he were standing on over to his trainer and hugged her legs hoping for more food. If you think you're gonna get more food, you're sadly mistaken, she disciplined Munchlax. You've been a bad boy, wandering off like that. So, this is your Pokemon? Misty said, an annoyed look across her face. I figured, seeing as how hungry the poor thing is. Munchlax is always hungry, May explained. She reached in her pack and pulled out her trusty Pokeblock case. She popped out a pink Pokeblock and fed it toward Munchlax. The Pokemon swallowed it, then became satisfied and sat down at May's feet. May looked up at Misty, a smile on her face. So how is your picnic going? She timidly asked, fearing the gym leader's anger. A lot better before you showed up, Misty spat, turning to the waterfall, standing next to her picnic basket. You're not allowed to play unless I'm watching. That is true. So I'm gonna try to get through this. Come on, this probably won't take that long. It won't take that long. Probably. May tried to get a sentence out, but she just couldn't put the words together. Azurill, Misty called out to the water. At her call, the small normal type emerged from the water and hopped up to the dry land. Munchlax walked over to Azurill and held out his hand in friendship. Smiling, Azurill moved her tail into Munchlax's hand and shook it. Misty, however, quickly snatched up her Pokemon. We don't make friends with people like that, she scolded. Azurill put a sad look on her face. Why not, Misty? I asked her. We used to be friends before Harley talked to you. You know very well why, Misty spat. You've been doing horrible things to Ash. That's not true, Misty. Like Ash said, Harley's been lying to you. He showed me proof! Misty shouted in the coordinator's face. You couldn't fake a picture like that! Oh boy, wait until she hears about this thing called Photoshop! That was only an accident, May sighed. I didn't mean for Torchic to hurt him. She sat down next to Munchlax and ran her finger through the loose skirt at the forest floor. It was a North Petalburg right before Ash battled my dad for his 5th gym badge in Hoenn. A bunch of people egged me on, and I battled Ash's Tailo. I ordered an Ember attack, and Tailo flew out of the way, leaving Ash to get scorched. Looking up, she said, I've already apologized to him. Can you forgive me too? No! You're just lying to me, trying to get me to call off the battle! I understand that you won't believe me, May sighed. A look of surprise settled on the combative gym leader. May continued. And I really don't want to have to battle my friend with such bad blood between us. The only reason there's bad blood is because of you, Misty said harshly. If you hadn't been deceiving anyone, then this entire thing would never have happened. Why don't you believe them? What? Misty was confused. Believe who? Ash and Brock, May clarified. They both told you that I wouldn't do anything like that. Why Harley's word over your two best friends? Misty grunted, turned back to the waterfall. She dipped her bare feet into the water and looked up for reflection in it. It's not because I don't trust them, Misty sighed. I really do. And I want to think you're a good person, May. The gym leader looked up at the sky. But Ash is hurt. His shoulders are sore, and no one but Harley ever gave me a reason. I can tell you what really happened if you want, May said, moving closer. What? Misty was skeptical. Did Brock do it? She mocked the coordinator. No. It actually happened trying to save me. What? Seriously? A few days ago, after another attack by Team Rocket, Ash and I were falling toward a forest from really high up. May told the story looking to the waterfall, picturing the series of events in her own mind. Ash called out Swallow, and his Pokemon gripped his shoulders tightly in his talons. So tightly, in fact, that they punctured the skin. May's eyes began to tear up at the thought, but she wiped them off into her arm. So Ash did it to himself? May nodded. When we got out of the lake, I saw that he was bleeding really badly. Having nothing else, I tore my bandana in half and used to bandage him. That's how it got torn. May placed her hand on her new green bandana. Thoughts of the caring boy came rushing through her mind. Thank you for telling Ash to buy me a new one, she told Misty. The gym leader shrugged. I don't know if I should believe the story you're telling me. I didn't honestly think you would, May said, sighing. I just don't want to fight anymore. I want us to be friends again. Does that mean you'll tell everyone what you've done to Ash? Misty asked. I can't admit to crimes I haven't committed, Misty. May sighed. So no. Then the battle is still on. Misty stood up, began to peck up her picnic, and then let out a giggle. May turned around to see what it was that she was giggling at. Munchlax had fallen asleep on his back, and Azura lay on top of him, also dozing away. That's so cute. Misty, May started. Is there any other reason that you don't trust me? Misty sighed for a moment, bending over to pick up her baby Pokemon. It just seems so easy for you, May, Misty sighed. What do you mean? I mean, everything you have in the group seems to have been handed to you. To accomplish your dream, you're able to travel and see new places. You're also very successful at it. You made top 4 in the Kanto Grand Festival. You've also won Ash's heart. And it looks so easy for you. And then I think about what I had to do. I had to come up with an excuse to travel. I had to fight tooth and nail to make my gym successful. And regardless of how much I tried, I couldn't get Ash to lick me back. Not in the way I wanted, anyway. Misty is jelly. Hey, you're right about that, Dana. Also, hi, Dana. How are you doing? Misty, May sighed compassionately. It's not as easy as you think it is. Training Pokemon for contests is hard work. My Pokemon work hard to compete in contest battles. I've had to teach them many new moves to keep their appeals fresh, and we practice them all the time. I've also had a lot of people help me along the way, not the least of which are Ash and my rival. I barely beat Drew in the Grand Festival, and I just lost him again because I haven't been keeping up my training. But you still got Ash to fall for you! Misty grabbed the girl by her shoulders. How did you do it? She shook May, rattling the girl's head. She let go of the coordinator after she realized her mistake. Sorry, I guess I'm just a little emotional. May collected herself and continued. I never really tried to get Ash to like me. It just kinda happened. I made a wish on the Millennium Comet to find true love one day. I never finished making the wish, but a few weeks later I met Drew. Around the same time, I also noticed different things about Ash. Not that he'd been doing anything different. I just saw him in a different light, I guess. Ash would always be supportive of me. We never seemed to fight like I did with Drew. And even when we did, he always ended up apologizing. We always ended up apologizing with each other. Smiling, she added. Sometimes I felt like his girlfriend even before he said he loved me, with a giggle. May closed her eyes and continued to reminisce about Ash. And make fun of his complete obliviousness in the field of love. But I don't think it ever clicked with him at the time. Earlier, the day before I was kidnapped by Team Rocket, Ash told me about the day he started to fall for me. We were on this island with lots of Donphan, and we got lost in the woods. I even jokingly mentioned that we might end up on the island forever together that day. Ash told me that all clicked when he saw me crying that day because Max was lost. and I wouldn't be able to go to the contest. He told me that he wanted me to be happy again. That's how, I guess. Just then, May realized that she had been babbling and got embarrassed. I'm sorry. I guess I just let that all out, huh? You. Misty couldn't believe it. You never tried? You never had him ignore your feelings? Misty got hysterical. You never stayed up on long nights wondering when you'd be able to tell him your feelings, only to check it out at the end, then beating yourself up because you made a fool of yourself? May pushed herself away from Misty, a look of apprehension on her face. Hey, chill out. How can you say that when I tried for so long to get him to love me? Hey, I thought you weren't interested in Ash anymore, May called out in response. Who told you that? Ash did before you whacked out and got angry with me for no apparent reason. She took in some deep breaths to calm herself down. Well, maybe I'm not interested in Ash anymore, Misty grunted with clenched teeth. Maybe I am. I don't know anymore. What I do know is that as one of his best friends, I should keep him from people who tend to harm him. People like you. So are you going to be protecting Ash by forcing me to leave him? May glowered. Are you going to find fault with every girl he finds interested? Only if they're going to hurt him. Oh? How many stories are you going to be told before you believe the accuser? Because all it took was one liar to convince you that your friends are conspiring against you. You be quiet! You're only trying to confuse me, like you confused Brock. Ash won't admit it because he's afraid of what people will think about him getting abused by a girl. And Brock doesn't know that this entire thing is going on under his nose. May smirked. So says Harley, right? And he's definitely a reliable source to your best friends. May's eyes began to water as she shouted, Shut up! Quit trying to confuse me! Why is it confusing? May asked, calmer now. Is it because you want me away from Ash so badly that you can't believe your friends? Shut up! Misty cried, holding her head in her arms. May continued, talking to Misty, her emotions calm and collected. You know Ash and Brock probably better than I ever will, and yet you yourself refuse to believe them when they tell you something. You want to be a part of the gang again, and when you see someone else stealing your role, you get jealous of them. Is that it? Misty lurched forward, swinging her arm at the coordinator. I hate you, May! May caught the arm of the tearful gym leader. No, she responded. You shouldn't hate Misty. May's expression then changed to one of sadness. When you hate someone, you never see the good about them. You get consumed with their faults that you can't see the beauty they have inside. And you never allow yourself to become their friend. When you hold grudges and hate, it's you cutting yourself off from everyone else, not them cutting themselves off from you. May smiled kindly at the gym leader. That's a lesson Ash taught me. Misty stood there, crying. She reached for her Pokeball and recalled her Azurill. You. Why you? Why not me? I loved him and he didn't feel anything for me! Believe me, having guys fall for you isn't all it's cracked up to be, May sighed. What do you mean? Misty cleared her tears. There's this other guy I like, and he and Ash both told me that they loved me in the same night, May explained. I like them both and I can't put one over the other. They're both so important to me. You have two guys?! Misty shouted again, her voice rattled with disbelief. Not only Ash, but another guy?! I know I can only keep one, though, May cried out. And it's hard to choose between two people you love so much. And everyone seems to be hanging on to which I choose. Just take the other guy, then, and avoid all this trouble, Misty shouted. No. May stepped back, standing in front of her sleeping Munchlax. I'm not going to pick before I know for sure. May glared at Misty. And besides, you've already brought the trouble, and Harley's just made it double. Misty glared angrily at May. Oh, you did not just compare me to Team Rocket. May smiled. There's the gym leader. May recalled her sleeping Munchlax, not Snorlax, gosh dang it. He hasn't evolved yet. What am I doing? I'll see you tomorrow, Misty, she called, walking back towards the way she came. You can let out your frustrations on me in battle. Hey, wait! Misty called out to the departing coordinator. I'm not done yelling at you yet! But May had already left. May sat down and looked in the pool of water at the base of the falls for a moment. Is what she said true? Am I just being jealous? Am I cutting myself off from them? She thought for a moment, but then shook her head. No, I can't let her shake me. I've got to beat her to get Ash to see that he doesn't have to be afraid of her. Ash, you just let us cool off. Max advised the trainer, leaving the room to follow his new friend. Ash stood over the stove, watching May's ramen. He hadn't eaten his rice balls yet, as he waited for the girl to return to eat her meal. Brock, Max, and Cindy had already eaten, but Ash wanted to wait. Pikachu followed the boy's lead, leaving his bowl full of Pokemon food and following Ash inside. Ash kept looking into the pot, the stove's top set to low to keep it warm for May, for her return. The stomach growled at them, ordering the boy to eat, but he ignored it. He began to pace around the kitchen, Pikachu watching him walk around in circles. The mouse Pokemon watched with worry on his face. He hopped onto Ash's back, trying to give the trainer some support. Thanks, Pikachu, Ash said, smiling at his partner. But I'm getting worried. Maybe I should have followed her out. Pika! The Pokemon protested. Nuh-uh! As if to say, nuh-uh! She'll just think you don't have confidence in her to handle herself. I know she'd think that I don't trust her to be out on her own, Ash responded, but I'd almost have her be annoyed with me rather than have to wait for her to return. Ash looked out the kitchen window and nodded his head at the sky. I'm gonna try to find her, Ash said to Pikachu. You wanna come with me? Pikachu obediently slid over to his shoulder. Pika! Pokemon smiled. Alright, I knew I could count on you. Ash smiled and rubbed Pikachu's head behind his ears. We can't just leave the ramen here. It could burn with no one looking after it. He thought for a moment. Pikachu leapt up to the counter and pulled a plastic container out of the cabinet. It was an orange bowl with a semi-translucent white snap-on lid. Pika! He handed it to the human. Great idea! We'll take it with us and we can have a small picnic with her outside. After containing the ramen, egging the rice balls, and getting together an assortment of other foodstuffs, the two stepped out of the kitchen and looked to make sure no one was watching them leave their post. Oh, the ma, not the me. Whoops. Oh, yep. The ma, not the you. Yep. Sorry, yeah, that was just Pikachu being, yeah. Brock had fallen asleep on the couch watching television, and the sounds of Cindy and Max could be heard arguing in her room upstairs. Smiling, they snuck out of the room, quietly closing the door behind them. Ash tiptoed through the storefront and snuck out as noiselessly as possible. Pikachu sat on Ash's backpack, hoping that his weight would help hold the items together without destroying them. Ash walked to the edge of the forest where they had seen May disappear into. They peered inside as far as they could without stepping inside. Seeing no sign of May yet, they stepped into the bushes, looking for a landmark they could gauge their travel in the small forest on. They quickly found a river that ran up the middle of the forest. Given that the ground near rivers was usually clear, Ash and Pikachu decided to travel along it in hopes of finding May. Fortunately for them, May had almost returned by this point. She was also walking by the river and saw Ash and Pikachu and ran up to them. Hey guys! She said, catching her breath but smiling. It's good to see a friendly face again. I'm glad to see you again too, Ash laughed. What do you mean a friendly face? You'll never believe who I ran into here, May said, walking with Ash toward drier land than that next to the river. Who? Misty was here! He exclaimed. Ash almost jumped out of his skin. Misty? He gulped. Did she try to battle you? May shook her head. No, I think the only Pokemon there were my Munchlax and her Azurill. We talked for a while, though. Really? Ash asked. Oh, what? May's stomach growled quite loudly. I'd like to tell you, Ash, but I'm too hungry to tell stories right now. Hold on. There we go. Ash laughed as he sat down his backpack in the small clearing that they were in. Well, I thought we could have a picnic, since we are out here anyway. The trainer smiled at May, and pulled out the bowl he had contained the ramen and handed it to her. He took out his carefully wrapped ice balls and handed them to Pikachu, and also uncapped the container to Pikachu's Pokemon food and placed it where the Pokemon could get to it. Is this my ramen? She asked meekly, and he nodded in response. Pikachu and I kept it warm for you, just like you asked. I love you, Ash! She blurted out, hugging him. Both Ash and she realized what she had said and blushed quite brightly. She held him for a moment longer before she released him. I mean, I love the ramen you brought me, she said, covering herself. Very smoothly recovering, running her hand through her hair. Thank you. Ash, stuttering, replied, No problem, May. He shook off the embarrassment. I wanted to make sure you got what you wanted, he added, taking the rice balls back from Pikachu. You haven't eaten yet either? May asked, a hint of concern in her voice. No, Ash said rather plainly. I was waiting for you to come back before I ate. I eventually got too worried about you, and Pikachu and I came looking for you. So when we came to look for you, we decided to make it a picnic. May smiled as she sat down next to him and took a pair of chopsticks out of her pack. She popped off the lid to see her piping hot ramen looking back at her. Thank you for this little picnic, Ash, May said with a smile. It's very sweet of you. Ash modestly blushed. Well, I don't know about that. Don't be so modest, Ash. She then nudged him playfully on the shoulder. Well, let's eat, he said, grabbing a rice ball and chomping down on it. May slurped up some of her ramen, looking over at Ash, watching him eat. She pulled a few noodles into her chopsticks and was struck with inspiration. As Ash opened... see! Inspiration! See, this is D&D! As Ash opened his mouth to take another bite of rice ball, Mage barged her ramen noodles into his mouth. Surprised, Ash opened his eyes to see May's face almost directly in front of his. He slurped the noodles from May's chopsticks and looked in her sapphire eyes and her cherry lips. Shaking his mind from that subject, Ash held his rice ball up to May's mouth, taunting the coordinator to take a bite. Ash smiled as she cutely chewed so close to him. His eyes kept being drawn to her lips. Why am I looking at those? He pondered. Before things got too much more serious, May backed off and took her place next to Ash again. The two laughed out loud together. So, May, Ash tried to start a conversation. What did you talk to Misty about? Oh, stupid stuff, May said, trying to endure the subject. We have to talk about it now. She leaned her head onto Ash's shoulder and nuzzled the top of her head against the side of his face. Ash smiled. No, he said. He placed his arm around May's shoulders and held her there, next to him. No, I guess we don't. And that's the end of chapter 24, everybody. What the hell am I listening to? Only one of the most important Advanceshipping fanfics to ever exist, period. I was playing Persona and just heard Pika and I was like, don't yell at me! I'm sorry, Pika. I'm sorry. But yeah, that is all that we are reading today. Next up, things are going to get a little bit crazy. To the point where, yes, there will be a content warning in the next stream for one of the chapters. Yeah! Actually. That's the kind of crud that's getting real. But for now, we're gonna end it on a nice, peaceful note, listening to some Xenoblade music. You hope it's because Harley dies? It's much worse than that. Not the least of which being because, you know, Harley dying would actually be kind of a good thing. Anyway, I didn't say that. I mean, what? I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But yeah, so that is going to be it from me today, or at least for this stream, before Baldur's Gate, if that happens tonight, depending on Pika's, you know, sleep schedule. So let us think about what we're going to be doing next. Well, I know I'm going to be raiding out. Is Ellie still streaming? She seems like it'd be a pretty easy choice. She is? She is? Okay, yeah, she's an easy choice to raid. Yeah, we're raiding Ellie. She's an easy choice. So, yeah, say hi to Ellie, everybody. We're, and thank you for reading. Thank you for listening to this. Oh man, thank you for listening to me read. I love reading this to y'all. I also love playing the right music too. It just adds to the atmosphere, you know? It just adds to it. But yeah. So yeah, we are, we're gonna raid Ellie. She's playing Stardew Valley right now. Because, you know, speaking of chill times. So next stream will probably be Baldur's Gate. You know, Pika's health permitting. Besides that, I don't know when the next stream is going to be. We'll have to see. Because my schedule is kind of weird now that Singles Inferno is playing now. And they decided to... And they all decided to have the time we watch it to be scheduled on one of the times I stream. So, you know, it's going to be a little bit strange. But, you know, we'll make it. We'll make do. But until next time, I will see you later. Take care, everybody.